Chapter 3203. The primordial historical site. They were going to have been occupied by the crown prince a long time ago. Although it was a relatively small primordial historical site, it was still a primordial historical site. The crown prince attached great importance to the primordial historical site, so much so that he put most of his energy into exploring it. That was why he did not cause trouble for Qin Yun and Luo Shu during this period of time. To the crown prince, Luo Shu was far more of a threat than Qin Yun. As long as Luo Shu did not die, she could replace him as Celestial Emperor. Luo Shu had been marginalized, but the Celestial Emperor hadn't killed her. Instead, he'd spared her life and sent word to the other heavyweights of the empire that Luo Shu was his daughter, and that no one was allowed to kill her. The crown prince was still brooding over the fact that the Celestial Emperor kept Luo Shu alive, but he did not dare say anything in front of his father. Luo Shu once had a Taisher faction behind her, but that faction had already sold her out. After using her, they abandoned her and even turned to the crown prince. Luo Shu was once a princess and had fought against the crown prince for many years. She was not someone to be trifled with. Even though she was abandoned by the Celestial Emperor and the Taisher faction, she was not discouraged and still wanted to rise. This time, Luo Shu played a very important role in the fight for the primordial historical site. This was because she knew where the Grand Prime Ruin was, and she had sent people to investigate further during this period of time. The primordial ancient ruins are under the human snake treasure land, but I haven't found anything strange on the surface of the treasure land. Luo Shu said. Phoenix Queen, Luo Shu, Nine Dragons King, and Qin Yun were not very familiar with the powerful races of the divine wilderness. Therefore, they all looked at the leader of the powerful race that came with Nine Dragons King. Before the Nine Dragons Kingdom came to the divine wilderness, they had already found a powerful race to cooperate with the Dragon Turtle race. Although the Dragon Turtle treasure land was not within the Nine Suns sacred ground, it was very vast and could be considered a very large treasure land in the divine wilderness. The Nine Dragons Kingdom and the Dragon Turtle race could be said to have hit it off. The Dragon Turtle race leader looked like a kind old man filled with wisdom. As the leader of a race, he was naturally very powerful. In addition, his mental power is very powerful. Qin Yun can sense that the Dragon Turtle Patriarch's mental power is on par with Phoenix Queen and Nine Dragon Kings. The Phoenix Queen and the Nine Dragons King were both kings of mid-level celestial Earths, people whose cultivation bases had regressed. As for the Dragon Turtle Patriarch, he was born and raised in the deity Desolate, yet he had such powerful mental strength. It was very surprising. Therefore, the Phoenix Queen and Luo Shu were very respectful towards this old man. Among our powerful races, the treasure grounds outside of the Nine Sun Sacred Ground are divided into super treasure grounds, great treasure grounds, medium treasure grounds, and small treasure grounds. Small treasure lands are the most common, followed by medium great treasure lands, and super treasure lands are the least. The Human Snake Treasure Land is one of the super treasured lands. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "What about the Golden Claw Treasure Land?" Qin Yun asked, "Your Excellency, Divine King, out of the few treasure lands before you, only the Golden Claw Treasure Land is a great treasure land. The others are all medium treasure lands." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch smiled and said, "Of course, a super treasure land is nothing in the Nine Suns sacred ground. However, if the ninth divine sun appears, the treasure lands outside the Nine Suns sacred ground will be strengthened." Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. This Dragon Turtle Patriarch actually knew so much. With the appearance of the 90,000 universe divine sun, won't the treasure lands inside the Nine Suns sacred ground also become stronger? The Phoenix Queen asked. The treasure land where her Phoenix Kingdom was located was also a super treasure land. No, the 90,000 universe divine sun will shine outside the Nine Suns sacred ground. Inside the sacred ground, there are already too many divine sun resources. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "If I'm not wrong, after the appearance of the ninth divine sun, the primordial ancient ruins will become even more important. Luo Shu hurriedly said, "The primordial faction said that they can't find any primordial ancient ruins in the Nine Sun sacred ground. Could it be that the primordial ancient ruins were deliberately placed outside the sacred ground?" The dragon turtle patriarch nodded and said, "The ninth divine sun is very powerful. As for what will happen, I don't know. But I'm certain that the inheritance of the primordial ancient ruins is closely related to the nine divine suns of myriad realms." Dragon turtle patriarch, have you come into contact with the human snake race? The phoenix queen asked. I've come into contact with them before. They are rather cold, but they are not evil. They can be considered a relatively righteous and strong race. They're a powerful race from a supreme treasure ground. They're not weak, so they shouldn't lower their heads to a Taisher faction or the crown prince of Zenith Luo, right? The dragon turtle patriarch said with a frown. If there is nothing unusual about the human snake treasure ground, it means that the crown prince of Zenith Luo and the rest are doing it in secret. Qinyan said, the primordial era ruins should be deep underground. Perhaps the serpent race's patriarch discovered the primordial era ruins but was unable to enter. That's why he had no choice but to cooperate with Crown Prince de Luo and company. While Qinyan and others are discussing about the serpent treasure land, Luo Yaya is outside the Nine Sun Heaven raising pagoda and said in low voice, "News just came from the magic mirror. There is a primordial era historical site under the serpent treasure land. This news was released by the serpent race. They also said that this treasure land belongs to them and no one can steal it. Yaya, continue to pay attention to this matter," Luo Shu said. Then, she closed her eyes and took a small breath. "Miss Luo Shu, you know about the primordial ruins, but you don't just know where they are, right?" The dragon turtle patriarch asked. "I have a key to the primordial era ruins. This key was given to me by my father," Luo Shu said. "A key given by the heavenly emperor of Zenith Luo?" Qin Yun, Phoenix Queen, and Nine Dragon King are all very shocked. They are very puzzled as to why the dragon turtle patriarch could see through it. "I did hide something about this matter, but I have no other intentions." Luo Shu opened her eyes. They are filled with sincerity. She said, "That key is very special. I'm not sure if it could be used to enter the primordial era ruins. But my father said that this key can allow me to enter the primordial era ruins even more smoothly." The dragon turtle patriarch said, "The crown prince of Zenith Luo is in the serpent treasure land. Moreover, he has already discussed with the serpent race patriarch. They released the news to lure you over. He might have already guessed that you have joined hands with the divine king, so he wants to set up a trap to lure you over. The crown prince of Zenith Luo is very treacherous. Previously, he sent a very important subordinate to detonate the treasure land, which posed a great threat to Qinyan. In that case, the crown prince of Zenith Luo really needs the key in Miss Luo Shu's hands." Nine Dragon King added. Luo Shu sighed. "The serpent race, the crown prince of Zenith Luo, the primordial powers, they can be said to have joined hands. And we have to enter deep into their territory and snatch it. Can this really succeed? We can succeed. The serpent race is very easy to deal with. When the time comes, we will definitely catch the crown prince of Zenith Luo and the primordial powers unprepared." Qinyan said with a smile. He is filled with confidence. The dragon turtle patriarch only smiled and did not say anything. Clearly, he knows how Qinyan will deal with the serpent race. Chapter 3204. Qinyan had already thought of a way to deal with the snake-human race. Although he did not know if the snake-human race would be forced to bow down to the crown prince of origin Luo, Qinyan was absolutely confident that he could suppress the snake-human race. If the snake race was truly enslaved by the crown prince of Great Luo, Qinyan would rescue them. If the snake race were to cooperate with Crown Prince de Luo, Qinyan would have no choice but to beat them into submission. The Grand Prime Ruin belongs to the Crown Prince of Daluo. He'll definitely protect it with all his might. The Grand Prime organizations probably won't send too many people. After all, there's no need for them to help the Crown Prince so much. Luo Shu said, Grand Prime organizations are still rather selfish. The primordial faction had given the crown prince a primordial ruin out of respect for the celestial emperor. At most, they had sent a few people to protect him. The Phoenix Queen gritted her teeth and said, "If the Grand Prime organizations aren't here, it'll be a pity." She hated the Taisher organizations bitterly. After using her, they kicked her away. The most infuriating thing was that the Taisher organizations had given all the benefits to the Crown Prince of Daluo. To her, this was the most intolerable betrayal. Luo Shu felt the same way as her. What are the origins of the three Grand Prime organizations of our universe? Qinyan asked. The one who contacted my Phoenix Kingdom is called Wang Tiange. Phoenix Queen said, "What a coincidence. I'm also in contact with Wang Tiange." Luo Shu was rather surprised, and I had thought that the Grand Prime organizations behind us were different. They had never communicated with each other before, nor had they told each other about the Grand Prime organizations behind them. They only knew that they had Grand Prime organizations behind them. What about the other two Grand Prime organizations? Qinyan asked. The Phoenix Queen and Luo Shu both shook their heads. Nine Dragons King said, "These Taisher influences are very mysterious. In the Great Flood cosmos, I have never heard of the names of the three Taisher influences in our cosmos. The Grand Prime faction behind Crown Prince Daluo should also be Wang Tiange." The Phoenix Queen said, "In other words, the other two Taisher factions have never shown themselves, and they've been in direct contact with the Celestial Emperor of Origin Luo." Luo Shu lowered her head and recalled something. She said, "My mother once told me that my father had many children, but they were all sent to other places. It's extremely likely that they've been sent to a Grand Prime organization. I heard that the Crown Prince of Grand Luo suddenly appeared and defeated all the other successors with his greatest strength to become the Crown Prince. Is that true?" Chu Limin asked. She could also be considered the Celestial Emperor's daughter. Yes. The Crown Prince of Daluo suddenly appeared. I've never seen this elder brother before. I don't even know who his mother is. Luo Shu nodded. Looking at it now, it's extremely likely that his mother is part of the upper echelon of a Grand Prime organization. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "The Origin Celestial Emperor married a high-ranking woman from the Taisher faction. This means that the relationship between the Taisher faction and the Origin Luo Empire is very complicated. A few universes should be the same." Nine Dragons Kings said, "The Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Hong Empire should also be entangled with the Taisher forces." At this moment, Qinyan looked at Ba Tien. Tien Ba was from the Blue Cosmos, so he was more familiar with the matters of the Great Blue Empire. "I'm not too sure about the situation in the Great Blue Empire. I only know that the Great Blue Sky Emperor has many children, and they are all very powerful. They rarely show themselves." Tyrant Ba said. Luo Shu said, "Only those whose mother comes from the Taisher faction can cultivate there. Moreover, they have special bloodline and finally become a special race." Qinyan suddenly thought of Miluor. Miluor's father came from the royal family of the Origin Luo Empire. Could it be that Miluor's father was a prince who cultivated in the Taisher faction since childhood? The Crown Prince of Daluo has the help of his mother's side, so the Taisher faction gave him great benefits. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. Speaking of this matter, Luo Shu and Phoenix Queen secretly clenched their fists again. The Grand Prime organization had purposefully come into contact with them, offering up some resources and cultivation methods to gain their trust. Their main goal was to screw them over. Qin Yun and everyone present now guessed Phoenix Queen's identity. She should also be the daughter of the Origin Luo Heavenly Emperor. It is very likely that she is one of the earliest children of the Origin Luo Heavenly Emperor. Qin Yun looked at Phoenix Queen's grave and stern, beautiful face. The Nine Sons' lost spirit told him to deal with this Phoenix Queen. In other words, Phoenix Queen must have other outstanding aspects. Outside the Nine-Sun heaven-raising pagoda, a voice suddenly came in. Moreover, it is very urgent. Queen, the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground is under intense attack. The one who spoke was a man, a general of the Phoenix Kingdom. The Phoenix Kingdom was in the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground, and that general was teleported to the Heaven's Altar from the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground. It was obvious that the situation was urgent. The expressions of Phoenix Queen and Chu Limin changed. Qin Yun and company were also alarmed. Pai Xiao, is the enemy coming for the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground or our Phoenix Kingdom? Phoenix Queen asked. I don't know. They might be from a Grand Prime organization. The patriarch of the Vermilion Bird clan hopes that you can go back and watch over them, so that everyone can be at ease. Pai Xiao said, Your Majesty, please go back first. Qin Yun said, If we take down that primordial era ancient site, the Phoenix Kingdom will have a share. Li Min, stay here and listen to His Majesty the Divine King's arrangements. The Phoenix Queen stood up and gritted her teeth. If that bastard crown prince of the Luo sent someone to attack the Vermilion Bird Paradise, I'll teach him a lesson. Sister Phoenix, be careful, Luo Shu reminded. Don't worry. The Phoenix Queen nodded and immediately followed Pai Xiao back to the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. The Vermilion Bird Treasured Land is within the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, and it is a super treasure land. General Chu Limin stayed here to represent the Phoenix Kingdom. There are 50,000 powerful Phoenix warriors here. The Phoenix Kingdom can be considered to have participated greatly in this operation. Qin Yun looked at Luo Shu and asked, Miss Luo Shu, your treasure land won't be attacked, right? My treasure land is deep underground and very difficult to find. Your Majesty the Divine King need not worry, Luo Shu said. Next, they discussed their tactics after entering the human snake treasured land and how to cooperate with each other. After calculating the overall combat power, Qin Yun and them formulated a comprehensive battle plan. After talking for more than half a day, they set off for the human snake treasured land. It is not the entire heavenly law altar that moved over. Only the divine inscription mountain moved over. People from all sides entered the divine inscription mountain. This way, it would be more convenient. The interior of the divine inscription mountain is very large. Qin Yin divided many areas for them so that they could properly train their formations during this period of time. Qin Yun alone inside the Nine Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda, he released a spatial sound transmission array. Xiao Yun, being the All Heavens Dragon Emperor, is truly not easy. Long Shu's grumbling voice can be heard. She brought Long Xiaofeng and others to unify the All Heavens Dragon race, and the progress was rather smooth. Only a few powerful dragon race who obtained fortuitous encounters and their strength increased sharply did not pledge allegiance. Most of the other dragon race patriarchs recognized Long Shu as the new All Heavens Dragon Emperor. My beautiful sister Dragon Emperor, you just have to get used to it in the future, Qin Yun said with smile. Now lead the strongest dragon race army to the human snake treasured land and ask the human snake race if they are willing to join the All Heavens Dragon race family. Chapter 32:05. Qin Yin has two plans to deal with the serpent race. The first is to have the All Heavens Dragon race subdue them. The serpent race has both human and serpent characteristics. Their ultimate goal is to evolve into dragons. The All Heavens Dragon race was destroyed by the great Luo Empire before, but now they have re-established themselves. Moreover, they have several treasure lands as their base. The All Heavens Dragon race has caused a lot of commotion recently. All kinds of things have become famous on the Devil Mirror. Qin Yun has been in contact with Long Shu and the others, so he is very familiar with the All Heavens Dragon race's recent movements. The re-established All Heavens Dragon race is even stronger than before, but compared to the Taisher factions and the four great empires, is still very weak. However, at least the All Heavens Dragon race now has the power to protect themselves. They will not be easily exterminated like before. The new All Heavens Dragon Emperor is not a purebred dragon. Long Shu, a tree dragon, becoming the new Dragon Emperor will make more variant dragons and half-dragons acknowledge her. The reason why most purebred dragons acknowledge Long Shu is because she was born from the dragon bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box. Back then, she was the All Heavens Dragon Emperor's right-hand man. Of course, The most important thing is that Long Shu is very powerful now. Not only her, Long Xiaofeng, Long Yuqing, and Long Tianji are also very powerful. They all entered the Treasurelands Lake and were evolved by Qin Yun through the Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box. Their Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern power is very powerful, making the other dragon race leaders very envious. Therefore, Long Shu and the others can convince the other dragon race leaders and promise them that they will also have Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box in the future. Currently, only a few very powerful dragon race and the Nine Sun Holy Land dragon race have not joined the All Heavens dragon race. These were powerful dragon clans inside and outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, but they were powerful clans that had appeared along with the Treasure Land. They were not the dragon clans that had grown up after many years of cultivation. Although they have not joined, the All Heavens dragon race's overall strength is still very good. Long Shu and the others have been consolidating the All Heavens dragon race's power and making all kinds of arrangements. Therefore, she has been complaining to Qin Yun all day long that she is very tired. The serpent race wants to transform into dragons very much, and Qin Yun has the Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box, so he can easily help them transform into dragons. It was just that he didn't know what was going on with the snake tribe. Therefore, he had a second plan, which was to avoid the worst-case scenario. If the serpent race refused to budge, they would have no choice but to attack them by force. 5 days later, the divine mountain of inscription arrived in the sky above a large mountain near the human snake treasure land and hid in the air. Long Tianji had arrived a long time ago, but the dragon race army, led by Long Shu, had not arrived yet. Long Tianji arrived early and has already entered the human snake treasured land. She has obtained many useful information. Qin Yun secretly met with Long Tianji inside Divine Mountain. At this moment, Long Tianji was also one of the higher-ups of the All Heavens Dragon Clan. Although she had learned charm techniques from Shui Tianzi, her temperament had changed greatly after becoming one of the higher-ups of the Dragon Clan. She was gorgeous and charming. Her charming eyes flickered and emitted traces of domineeringness. In front of Qin Yun, she appeared extremely gentle and charming. Having not seen Qin Yun for many days, now that they were alone, she took the initiative to hug Qin Yun. The two of them had a deep kiss. "Master," Long Tianji said in low voice. "Heavenly concubine, there's no need to call me that." Qin Yun chuckled. "Yinlang." Long Tianji leaned on Qin Yun's body and softly muttered, "Have you been very tired recently? You have worked hard." Qin Yun hugged Long Tianji and gently caressed her face. Long Tianji's feelings for Qin Yun are rather extreme. First of all, Qin Yun is her master. Moreover, she has followed Qin Yun for most of her life. Her current strength and ability to reach this point are all bestowed upon her by Qin Yun. Therefore, she is willing to do anything for Qin Yun. She can even die for him. Not tired at all," Long Tianji said with smile. "Yunlang, I used to be a small poison dragon spider, but now I become one of the elders of the All Heavens dragon race. No matter how bitter or tiring it is all worth it." Qin Yun held her lily-white hand and asked, "Heavenly concubine, you entered the human snake treasured land and inquired about some important matters. I am one of the elders of the All Heavens dragon race. They are very respectful to me. The one who received me was also an elder of the human snake race. Their patriarch did not show himself." Long Tianji sat on Qin Yun's thigh and leaned on him. She said, "I also did not see Great Luo's crown prince's people. They looked very calm on the surface, but their elders hinted to me that they are not in control of themselves." "Then did you tell them to join the All Heavens Dragon Clan?" Qin Yun asked. "Those elders expressed that they can't make the decision. Only their patriarch can make the decision. But because of some reasons, their patriarch can't show himself for the time being." Long Tianji said, "It is very likely that their patriarch is being controlled. The human snake race's patriarch wants to borrow their patriarch's power to control the human snake race." Qin Yun said with frown, "It seems like if we want to deal with the human snake race, the crux lies in their patriarch. Long Tianji said, Yunlang, the human snake race has great potential. As long as you help them a bit, they will surely transform into dragons. Moreover, they also have a super treasure land. There is a primordial era's historical site underground. It will be a great harvest for the human snake race to join the All Heavens dragon race. Tianji, you must be very careful during this period of time. Now that the All Heavens dragon race has successfully reformed, it will surely attract the attention of Great Luo's crown prince. Qin Yun warned. I know. Long Tianji kissed Qin Yun's lips and said, Yunlang, I will now go to the human snake treasure land to investigate. No, you don't need to go. Qin Yun promptly pulled her hand and said, I have an even more important matter for you to do. Go to the All Heavens divine moon and bring this object to the divine moon's little magical spirit. Qin Yun took out a round crystal ball. Inside the crystal ball there is a heavenly rune character. This heavenly rune character is something old brother Taisher has just comprehended. Moreover, he comprehended it through the moon bloodline heavenly rune box. Old brother Taisher only told Qin Yun to quickly bring this heavenly rune character to the divine moon's little magical spirit. It will be very helpful to them. First go find Sister Shang Yun. Let her take you there. Qin Yun said again. Yes. Long Tianji nodded and said. Long Tianji immediately left and went to the Guanghan Palace through the divine Rune Mountain's teleportation formation. Qin Yun found the Dragon Turtle Clan leader. Dragon Turtle Clan leader, is your Dragon Turtle Clan interested in joining the All Heavens dragon race? Qin Yun said with a smile. The Dragon Turtle Clan is one of the few dragon races outside of Nine Suns Sacred Ground that did not join the All Heavens dragon race. Your Excellency, Divine King, the unification of the All Heavens dragon race is indeed related to you, the Dragon Turtle Clan leader said with a clear smile. Originally, our Dragon Turtle Clan only wanted to be a good tortoise and live a peaceful life, but the environment did not allow us to do so. The unification of the All Heavens dragon race is related to me, but we only have a mutually beneficial relationship. Moreover, I will also provide great assistance to the All Heavens dragon race so that they can grow up and fight against the dragon race inside Nine Suns Sacred Ground. Qin Yun said. Chapter 3206. The Dragon Turtle race is a half-dragon race among the strong races. They are very powerful. Although they are a race outside the Nine Suns Sacred Ground, they are not weaker than the dragon race inside the Nine Suns Sacred Ground. Outside the Nine Suns Sacred Ground, there are 4 strong dragon races that refuse to join the All Heavens dragon race. They are all half-dragon races. The Dragon Turtle race is one of them, and it is also the strongest. Qin Yun wants to use the Dragon Turtle race to create a breakthrough. As long as the Dragon Turtle race joins the All Heavens dragon race, the other 3 strong dragon races will start to waver. Your Excellency, do you know why our Dragon Turtle race is unwilling to join the All Heavens dragon race? The Dragon Turtle race leader asked. Qin Yun stared at the old man's kind eyes filled with wisdom and then shook his head. Because our Dragon Turtle race wants to follow your Excellency. That's why we never thought of joining the All Heavens dragon race, even if the All Heavens dragon empress is your Excellency's woman. The Dragon Turtle race leader really knows everything. Longshu being Qin Yun's woman is a secret. Qin Yun is very surprised. He was very puzzled before why the powerful Dragon Turtle race was willing to cooperate with the 9 Dragon Kingdom and even let them enter the Dragon Turtle Treasure Land. So it is because of Qin Yun, the Divine King. In the All Heavens Divine Desolate, there is still a small number of strong races that acknowledge you. Especially during this period of time, the power your Excellency has displayed has made us, the Divine King faction, acknowledge you even more. The Dragon Turtle race leader's eyes suddenly became very deep. He sighed and said, however, most of the strong races do not wish for order to suppress them. They all know that the Divine King of the All Heavens Divine Desolate is the order of the All Heavens Divine Desolate. Those who defy him will face very serious consequences. Qin Yun also sank into deep thought. He always thought that he could not obtain the recognition of many strong races because he was not strong enough, because he was too weak. He was too insignificant when facing the empires and Taisher factions. He was powerless to protect the strong races, so most of the strong races did not acknowledge him. But now, the dragon turtle race leader said that the main reason why they do not acknowledge him is because they do not wish for order to exist. The all heavens divine desolate great era has begun. It is filled with all kinds of changes. As the strongest races of this land, they have treasured lands with powerful defenses. They hope that they can be unfettered, that no one can suppress them. The divine wasteland needs order. Without order, this land will descend into chaos, into endless slaughter and war. In the end, the apocalypse will descend, erasing us and starting all over again. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. Qin Yin naturally knew about the Nine Suns world annihilation. He had experienced it many times. Those powerful races had never experienced it, so they naturally did not know the will of the Nine Suns world annihilation. Dragon Turtle Patriarch, I still hope that you can publicly announce that you have joined the All Heavens Dragon Tribe. Qin Yin said, you are a big family. With you joining, this new dragon race will become even more solid. The addition of the Dragon Turtle Tribe would definitely make the hearts of the All Heavens Dragon Tribe more stable. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, no problem, but we have a condition. The All Heavens Dragon Tribe must not allow the Dragon Tribe in the Nine Suns Sacred Ground to join. We will never recognize the Dragon Tribe in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. Why? I don't know much about the dragon race in the Nine Suns Sacred Ground. Please enlighten me, Dragon Turtle Patriarch. Qin Yun asked. There are many dragon tribes in the Divine Desolate. There are mutated variant dragon race with dragon bloodline and beast bloodline. There are also half-dragon beasts like us who are a combination of beast and dragon. There are also half-dragon people who are a combination of dragon and dragon. But in the end, the dragon bloodline in our bodies is of the same origin, and it has not been polluted by other dragon bloodline. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch's expression suddenly became very solemn. Qin Yun took out the Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern box. The Dragon Bloodline Heavenly Pattern box he mentioned came from this box. The dragon race in the Nine Suns Sacred Ground. Their dragon bloodline has been polluted? Or has it been evil, devil? Qin Yun asked. Their dragon bloodline has been polluted by the barbarian race. Originally, there were many dragon races in the Nine Suns Sacred Ground, but now they have unified. They call themselves the Sovereign Dragon Race. In order to become stronger, they introduced the barbarian race's bloodline into their bodies. Qin Yun's expression changed. He has seen the barbarian race before. They are indeed very powerful. Moreover, there are also humans among the barbarian race, but they are unable to communicate. Moreover, their consciousness is filled with slaughter and brutality. Their bloodline has always been like this. Are the barbarian race really that terrifying? I have seen many Taisher factions enslaving a large number of barbarian race. Qin Yun said, the barbarian race that are enslaved are very weak. There are very few truly powerful barbarian race, and the Sovereign Dragon Race has introduced the strongest barbarian race's bloodline. Therefore, we absolutely cannot let the Sovereign Dragon Race join the Heavenly Dragon Race family. They will pollute the pure dragon bloodline. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, the barbarian race's bloodline is very unstable. You will know when you meet the Sovereign Dragon Race in the future. Qin Yun nodded and said, I will tell Long Shu to pay attention to this matter. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said again, Your Excellency, Divine King, the Taisher factions in the Nine Sun Sacred Ground are also researching the barbarian race's bloodline. It is very likely that they will use the barbarian race's bloodline to breed an even more powerful human race. Once the barbarian race's bloodline spreads outside the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, it will be very troublesome. I understand. I will take precautions. When Qin Yin thought of this matter, he realized that if he doesn't take precautions, once the heavenly divine desolate's life forms reproduce for a few generations, the barbarian race's bloodline will become unstable, and it will be very easy for the Taisher factions and the empires to use it to carry out all kinds of destruction. I will talk to the snake human race. I will go and invite them to join the heavenly dragon race together. Moreover, I will use the excuse of meeting their patriarch to create some commotion and divert their attention." The dragon turtle patriarch said, "Your Excellency, divine king, when the time comes, I will have to trouble you to secretly act and find the snake-human race patriarch and figure out his current situation." The dragon turtle patriarch has also researched Qin Yun very deeply. He knows that Qin Yun's stealth ability is very strong. He also knows that Qin Yun's mental power is not weak. He will definitely be able to accomplish this matter very beautifully. "All right, but Dragon Turtle Patriarch, you all still have to be careful," Qin Yun warned. "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Our Dragon Turtle race's strongest point is our defense. We are unkillable tortoises." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch laughed loudly and said, At daybreak, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch led the Dragon Turtle race's group, a total of more than 1,000 people, majestically flew towards the human snake treasure land. The Dragon Turtle race is one of the strongest races outside the 9-sun sacred ground, and its reputation is not small. Most of the powerful races are very respectful when they see the Dragon Turtle race. Now that the Dragon Turtle Patriarch has personally taken action, it is naturally very easy for him to enter the human snake treasure land. Qin Yun mixed in with the Dragon Turtle race's group. He held a piece of paper in his hand. On it is the news from the Phoenix Kingdom. The people attacking the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land are actually the army of the Great Luo Empire and the Taisha faction Wang Tiange. What shocked Qin Yun the most is that this is not the handiwork of the Great Luo Crown Prince, but a woman called Luo Shuang. Chapter 3207. The secret letter from the Phoenix Queen said that the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground was facing a lot of pressure, and she was unable to go to battle to support Strange Cat King. As a result, after Qin Yun seized the primordial ancient ruins, he would lack the strength of the Phoenix Kingdom when he went to support the Strange Cat King. Luo Shuang, who had attacked the Vermilion Bird Paradise, was one of the Celestial Emperor's daughters. She was powerful and had cultivated in a Taisha faction since she was young. Luo Shu was originally a princess of the Daluo Empire. Now that she had been defeated by the Daluo Crown Prince, she had left the core of the Daluo Empire and would never be able to return to the center of power in the Daluo Empire. The Celestial Emperor didn't want the Crown Prince to get carried away, so he released a powerful daughter to fight the Crown Prince. Furthermore, the Daluo Empire needed a powerful princess. She was the face of the empire and would be able to intimidate the various big shots within the empire. The other 3 empires did not dare to underestimate them. The Phoenix Queen was one of the daughters of the Celestial Emperor of Exalted Luo. She controlled a powerful kingdom, and her days were much more comfortable than those of the other princes and princesses. When Luo Shuang found out about this, the first thing she did was to attack the Vermilion Bird Sacred Ground. She wanted to show the Phoenix Queen that she, Luo Shuang, was the most outstanding daughter of the Celestial Emperor of Deluo. As Qin Yun walked, he explained the situation of the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land to the Dragon Turtle Patriarch. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch told Qin Yun not to worry. As long as they took down the snake-human race, it would be very easy to seize the primordial prime ruin of the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo. They would not need to suffer any major losses to take it. When the time came, everyone would go to the exotic cat kingdom together to provide support. It would be fine even if the Phoenix Queen did not come. The patriarch of the Dragon Turtle race was indeed very influential. The patriarch of the serpent race immediately let them in and even welcomed them warmly. The Mansnake Treasured Land was mainly made up of forests, and their residential areas were all holes dug out from some giant trees. After more than 1,000 people from the Dragon Turtle race entered, they saw many human snakes along the way. Although they were human snakes, they looked no different from humans. Only when they entered their strongest state would they turn into human snakes. The people and snakes on the way were all very respectful when they saw the people of the Dragon Turtle race. This was because the dragon aura from the Dragon Turtle gave them a lot of pressure. After entering, Qin Yun stealthily left in stealth mode. He acted alone. Only the elders of the serpent tribe knew about the tribe leader's situation. The other serpents seemed to be normal. The human snake treasure land was indeed very large. If one wanted to fly through it, it would take more than half a day. Moreover, there were huge trees everywhere that formed a dense forest. It was not easy for Qin Yin to find the serpent patriarch. He could only open his heavenly eye and use the luck viewing art. The luck viewing spell allowed him to see the terrain and the luck of living beings. The prerequisite was that Qin Yun's psyche powers were sufficiently strong. For example, looking at the terrain, his mental energy had to be able to cover the entire area. As for how much mental energy he needed, it was hard to say. In order to judge a person, one had to have a higher mental energy than others. He did not release the heavenly eye into the sky. If he used the heavenly eye avatar to cover multiple regions, he would indeed be able to find it quickly. However, this would definitely alarm the Crown Prince of Origin Luo. Some of the Crown Prince's men were definitely in the human snake treasure ground. According to Luo Yaya's Shadow Pavilion's investigation, the Crown Prince's main forces were outside the serpent race's treasure ground. He did not want to agitate the entire serpent race. After all, the human snake treasure ground was a super treasure ground. If the serpents really went berserk, the Crown Prince of Origin Luo could forget about steadily controlling the entire treasure ground. Qin Yin could only investigate one region at a time. Every once in a while, he would use a small-scale spatial voice transmission array to contact the Dragon Turtle Patriarch. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch requested to meet the Serpent Patriarch. However, the elders were very reserved, saying that the Patriarch was in seclusion and it was not convenient for him to come out. The Serpent Race's elders seemed to feel threatened and did not dare say a word. Qin Yun hid behind him as he floated high in the sky. He constantly expended his psyche powers to open his heavenly eye and use the luck viewing art to survey the entire central region of the human snake treasure ground. Beneath him was a lush forest of gigantic trees that were hundreds and thousands of meters tall. The energy they emitted was a lush green. He could only see it with his heavenly eye. The primordial ancient ruin is underground. Could the Crown Prince of Origin Luo and the Serpent Patriarch be underground as well? Qin Yin spent an entire day searching, but found nothing. He could only use another method. This method was risky and might attract the Crown Prince of Origin Luo's attention. However, he had no other choice. He had to quickly find the Serpent Patriarch and let the serpent race regain control of the human snake treasure ground. He landed in the forest, then entered one of the big trees that had no one around, and entered the trunk. Inside the tree trunk, he released his dragon tree totem and let the dragon tree totem communicate with all the trees in the treasure land through this tree. Through the consciousness of the trees, he searched for clues from within. He had learned this move a long time ago, but it was not very useful in the end. The main reason was that the tree totem in his body was not strong enough. Later on, he often cultivated with Long Shu, the tree dragon, so his dragon tree totem had become much stronger. Now it was relatively easy to use. However, it required a large amount of psyche power. His psyche power would leak out. If the Crown Prince of Origin Luo sensed something amiss, he would alert them. Therefore, there was a certain risk. Qin Yun's ideal situation was to let the serpent race escape the Crown Prince's control. Then, the Dragon Turtle race and the All Heavens Dragon race would intervene. Luo Shu, the 9 Dragon Kings, and the Phoenix Warriors would mix in and help the serpent race repel the Crown Prince's army. This way, the serpent race would naturally join the All Heavens Dragon race, and the underground primordial ancient ruins would be developed together. Qin Yun's psyche power is being consumed very quickly. Fortunately, he has a large amount of Divine Universe Goldstones and can recover quickly through the Divine King Heavenly Seal. After half a day, he finally found traces of the Serpent Patriarch. Sure enough, he went underground. The entrance to the underground was an unremarkable tree. Furthermore, it was not in the central region of the serpent race. It was in a small forest just outside the central region. Qin Yun read the vague memories from the forest and learned that the Serpent Patriarch was brought down by a large group of people. It should be the crown prince of Origin Luo and his entourage. There were several thousand of them. After discovering this, Qin Yun immediately contacted the Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch and told him that he was going out. The Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch arranged for someone to bring Qin Yun out. Qin Yun wanted to bring the entire Divine Inscription Mountain with him and place it inside the Nine-Sun Divine Soul. The Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch then arranged for people to bring Qin Yun in. The Serpent Race did not say anything as they went in and out of the Dragon Turtle Race. Dragon Turtle Race Patriarch, I am preparing to enter the underground and fight the Crown Prince of Origin Luo. Outside the Serpent Race Patriarch, there is still the Crown Prince's army. When the time comes, I will leave it to you. Qin Yun said. The All Heavens Dragon Race army, led by Long Shu, is already on the way. Fighting the Crown Prince's army is what they desire the most. Mobile users, please visit. Chapter 3208. Although Qin Yun had never met the Crown Prince, Luo Shu and Luo Yaya were very familiar with him. They had been at odds with him for many years. Luo Shu had a deep understanding of the Crown Prince, but there were still some blind spots. For example, the relationship between the Crown Prince and the Taishu factions. Qin Yun learned from Luo Shu and Luo Yaya that the Crown Prince had many capable people around him. Furthermore, they were all very loyal to him. However, this loyalty was only obtained by the Crown Prince through a soul contract. The Crown Prince was cruel and scheming. He was very cruel to his subordinates, and they were all very afraid of him. As they were bound by the soul contract, they could not resist and could only endure it. According to Luo Shu and Luo Yaya, Lu Yi was a very capable subordinate of the Crown Prince. However, he had been sent by the Crown Prince to self-destruct in order to kill Qin Yun. From this, it was obvious that the Crown Prince did not value the lives of his subordinates. If he could sacrifice his subordinates in exchange for sufficient benefits, the Crown Prince would not hesitate to do so. He might even gamble with his subordinates' lives. Qin Yun came to a forest in the human snake treasure ground and approached the tree that led deep into the ground. The serpent race must have long discovered the primordial ancient ruins beneath their treasure ground. That was why they created such a passageway. The tree was 200 meters tall and very thick. It was considered a medium-sized tree in the human snake treasure ground. As Qin Yun approached, he sensed that there were hundreds of people hiding nearby. Furthermore, they were all very strong, with a maximum divine cosmic power of at least 350,000. These guys are not from the serpent race. They are the Crown Prince's men. There are hundreds of them hiding and guarding the entrance. If anyone approaches, they will be killed without mercy. Qin Yun hid behind them and carefully probed the surroundings. There did not seem to be a single person. The Crown Prince's men were all very well hidden. I can't enter from that entrance. I will definitely be discovered. Qin Yun carefully observed the tree and discovered that there were at least 300 people hidden within it. There were a few hundred around it. There were more than 300 people in the tree, and all of them had a maximum divine cosmic power of more than 300,000. Qin Yun wanted to enter the ground silently and rescue the Serpent Patriarch. Then he would fight the Crown Prince underground and force him out of the primordial ancient ruins and the human snake treasure ground. The human snake treasure land's geology was very sturdy. It was very difficult to dig a huge passage down, and it was impossible to do so in a short period of time. As for Qin Yun, he was able to quickly pass through the soil and rocks to reach the bottom by using his penetration divine ability. However, it would consume a lot of energy. Qin Yun was now at the 8th level of the divine space realm. The upper limit of his divine space force was 240,000. He could make his divine space force erupt 4 times outside his body. His total divine space force was close to 1,000,000. This was an extremely terrifying, explosive power. Coupled with his divine weapon, those peak 9th level divine space realm experts would be instantly killed if they were the slightest bit careless. Now, when Qin Yun uses the mysterious penetration divine ability, he consumes 10,000 divine cosmos power with every breath. He can use the divine king heavenly seal to replenish it. If not, even if he could use the mysterious penetration divine ability, he would not be able to maintain it for long. He quickly went several tens of thousands of meters underground, and after spending more than 2 million divine universe energy, he finally arrived at the primordial ancient site. In the depths of the human snake treasured land, there was a very empty area that could accommodate a city. Qin Yun went underground and entered the spacious area. He saw an ancient city emitting a faint golden light. This should be the primordial ancient site. Qin Yun floated at the edge of the spacious area. He took out the divine mirror of primordial beginning to illuminate the ancient city, so that Brother Primordial Beginning could take a look. The entire city floated in the spacious underground area. Outside the city gate was a plaza. There were thousands of people outside the plaza. They were sitting cross-legged on the ground with their eyes closed. They were releasing their mental power. In front of them, there was a huge power-storing crystal ball used to store mental power. They needed to inject large amounts of mental power into the crystal ball and then explode their mental power through the crystal ball to open the city gate. The fact that the great Luo Crown Prince and the others could not open the gate meant that the gate could not be blasted open with brute force. It required large amounts of mental power. And beside the huge crystal ball, there was a small altar. On the altar lay a robust middle-aged serpent. From time to time, he would let out angry roars. Clearly, this middle-aged serpent was the serpent race leader. He had been used as a sacrifice. You bastards will never be able to enter the holy city. You are filthy and despicable creatures. You are not worthy of entering the holy city. The serpent race leader shouted angrily. Serpent race leader, why don't I capture your son and sacrifice him first? The person who spoke was an elder. Qin Yun was searching for traces of the great Luo Crown Prince, but he did not seem to be here. This made him secretly alarmed. The great Luo Crown Prince did not come personally. He thought that he could settle things with him here. Although the great Luo Crown Prince did not come, the people here were definitely his capable subordinates or experts from a Taisher faction. When their power-storing balls are filled with mental power, you can destroy them. When that happens, you can save the serpent race leader, said Brother Primordial Beginning. Qin Yun had his own plans. He first carefully left the spacious underground area. Then he took out a small spatial voice transmission array and contacted the Dragon Turtle Race leader. Dragon Turtle Race leader, the great Luo Crown Prince does not seem to be in the primordial ancient ruins, said Qin Yun with a voice transmission. Then it's very likely that he's on the surface. This guy sure is vigilant. Your Excellency, you must be careful down there. Leave the surface to us, the all-heavens dragon race, said the Dragon Turtle Race leader. Soon after, Qin Yun contacted Long Shu and told her to pay more attention to the surface because the great Luo Crown Prince might be on the surface. The great Luo Crown Prince exterminated the all-heavens dragon race once, and the great Luo Empire's army is outside the human snake treasured land. The great Luo Crown Prince must have received news that the great Luo Empire's army has arrived at the human snake treasured land. With the Dragon Turtle Race leader on the surface, Qin Yun felt a lot more at ease. The Divine Rune Mountain he brought down has a total of 150,000 soldiers. There are his Divine King Army, Phoenix Army, Luo Shu Army, and Nine Dragon Army. All of them have 5th-generation bloodline heavenly runes. They are more than enough to deal with a few thousand people. Qin Yun returned to the spacious area again. The power-storing ball outside the city gate has become even brighter. The serpent race leader should be able to handle it, right? Qin Yun secretly took out the God King spear that has transformed into a God King cannon. He is preparing to shoot a myriad devouring God arrow. The altar that sealed the serpent race leader is beside the power-storing ball. It is several meters tall and is even bigger than the altar. If the power-storing ball explodes, it will definitely affect the serpent race leader. However, it is only an explosion of mental power. The explosion of mental power is not aimed at any target. It is just a storm of mental power. Those who are affected by it will at most have their souls fiercely attacked. Qin Yun asked An Wukong to follow him. After the attack, he will send in Wukong to seal the space and prevent them from using the magic mirror to communicate with the outside world. Chapter 3209. Although he couldn't see the Crown Prince, he knew the situation here like the back of his hand. There might even be a clone hiding in the crowd. If something happened here, even if the space here was sealed, the Crown Prince would immediately know that something had gone wrong. What Qin Yin needed to do was to let the Crown Prince not know that he was here. Once the crystal ball exploded, a berserk wave of mental energy would rush out. If one didn't protect oneself in time, one's soul would definitely be affected. The souls of doppelgangers were generally weaker and could not withstand such a powerful spiritual Yuli wave. The Crown Prince would at most know that the crystal ball had suddenly exploded. He wouldn't know that it was Qin Yun's doing. Qin Yun was patiently waiting for the crystal ball to accumulate enough mental energy. Only then would the effect be better. These guys are here to break the door, but the Crown Prince's main body isn't here. This means that the upper echelons of a Taisher faction are here. Qin Yun observed the group of people. He was trying to see if he could tell that they were from a Taisher faction, but he couldn't. The light from the crystal ball was getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, it was trembling slightly and shooting out strong rays of light. It's about time. The hidden Qin Yun had already aimed at the crystal ball and shot a myriad god-devouring arrow. The myriad god-devouring arrow was several meters long. It was placed in the storage space of the God King cannon. When needed, it could be used to shoot a relatively large arrow from the God King cannon. The myriad god-devouring arrow was very fast. As it flew, it frantically devoured the energy around it. It could be said that it absorbed all the energy in the surroundings. The arrow accurately hit the crystal ball and produced a loud explosion. A berserk mental energy wave suddenly rippled out in all directions. It looked like waves of golden light. Everyone at the entrance of the ancient city felt as if their heads were about to split open. Some even fell to the ground as if their souls had dispersed. Those that fell were most likely avatars. The souls of these avatar puppets were too weak. Even if they had methods to protect their souls, they would still be finished against such a powerful mental energy wave. Qin Yun quickly released the inscription Divine Mountain. Luo Shu, Nine Dragon King, and Chu Limin appeared with their army and quickly surrounded the few thousand people. Qin Yun brought Monkey King, Ba Tain, and Su Xiaoba to the altar where the Serpent Patriarch is. And Wukong brought dozens of alien race people and quickly set up a formation to seal the space. Nine Dragon King, Luo Shu, and Chu Limin did not bring all the warriors out of the Divine Mountain. They only brought 30,000 warriors each. The head of the Serpent Tribe was screaming in pain. He was sealed on the altar. After Qin Yun went over, he used the divine mirror of primordial beginning to easily break the seal on his body and save him from the altar. Luo Shu, the Nine Dragons King, and the others were also controlling the several thousand people. There were close to 100,000 of them. Surrounding the several thousand people whose souls were being attacked was a piece of cake for them. With Qin Yun's help, the Serpent Patriarch very quickly recovered. The first thing he did after recovering is to take out a large axe and crazily hack at the altar. Only after smashing it into pieces did he stop. Luo Shu, Nine Dragon King, and the others are now controlling the few thousand people. They have nearly 100,000 warriors, so it is very easy for them to besiege those few thousand people. Hello, Serpent Patriarch. I am Qin Yun. Qin Yun said with a smile. I know, the Serpent Patriarch is very easy to talk to. He laughed heartily and said, I knew that your Majesty Divine King would come to save me. Everyone says that Divine King is a coward, but I never thought so. Qin Yun only laughed and said, Serpent Patriarch, this is General Chu Limin. She is representing Phoenix Kingdom. This is His Majesty Nine Dragon King of Nine Dragon Kingdom. He did not introduce Luo Shu because she doesn't want to expose herself. Many thanks, everyone. Many thanks, everyone. The Serpent Patriarch can see that these 100,000 warriors are very powerful. Their bloodline heavenly runes are also very strong. With so many powerful warriors, the serpent race doesn't need to fear the crown prince anymore. Well, that's right. Dragon Turtle Patriarch is also here. He's still up there? Chinyan said again. Then I'm even more relieved. Thank you all very much. The Serpent Patriarch changed into a set of clean clothes and walked towards the several thousand people of the Crown Prince. Serpent Patriarch, among these people, who are the Crown Prince's subordinates? Chu Limin asked. They are not the Crown Prince's subordinates. They are all from a Taisher faction. This Taisher ancient site was originally going to be given to the Crown Prince, but after they came here, they discovered that this Taisher ancient site is not simple. So they want to share it with the Crown Prince. The Serpent Patriarch said. As he spoke, he walked over and started beating the old men in a frenzy, ruthlessly beating them up. These people from Taisher faction are gradually regaining their consciousness. When they learned that Qin Yun's people came, they immediately became dumbfounded. How did Qin Yun come in? And he even brought so many powerful warriors with him. So many people want to come in. Why is there no movement at all? This Taisher faction's people have naturally heard of Qin Yun, because not long ago, Great Xian Star suffered greatly at Qin Yun's hands. The arrogant goddess Xian Qingning was even more humiliated by Qin Yun. Without exchanging blows with Qin Yun, they definitely do not know how terrifying Qin Yun is. After the Serpent Patriarch vented his anger, he said, Your Excellency, this Taisher ancient site is very difficult to open and enter. Let me make it clear first. I am willing to share this Taisher ancient site, but you must not use me as a sacrifice. Qin Yun said with a smile, That won't happen. This Taisher ancient site is very large. If we develop it together, it will allow all of us to become stronger. This is a win-win situation. What a joke. Without sacrificing the Serpent Patriarch, there is no way to open that door. Qin Yun, we admit that you have some ability, but you know nothing about Taisher ancient sites. You should not know how Taisher ancient sites were formed, right? An elder said with a sneer. If you want to enter, then obediently let us go. Then capture the Serpent Patriarch. Only by using his blood as a sacrifice can you open the door. Another elder shouted, Of course, after you let us go, you must first kneel down and apologize to us. The Serpent Patriarch became very angry hearing this. He really wanted to rush over and stomp the old man to death, but he did not go over because he knows that these people are very important. After all, these old men know how to open the ancient city. Qin Yun said to Su Xiaoba beside him, Xiaoba, this guy who made me kneel down is very arrogant. How do you usually deal with this kind of people? Go over and give him a set. Su Xiaoba rubbed his fists, then immediately rushed over and violently beat up the old man. Then he kicked the old man to arrive in front of Qin Yun and forced him to kneel down and kowtow to Qin Yun. You are done for. We are Taisher faction's wise men of virtue and prestige. The old man gritted his teeth and furiously said. But before he could finish speaking, Qin Yun stomped on his head. Mobile users, please visit. Chapter 32:10. Qin Yun being so ruthless in dealing with these so-called wise men caused many people present to be very surprised. Even Luo Shu and Nine Dragon King thought that Qin Yun would only capture these wise men and would not do anything to them. But now, Qin Yun crippled the old man in 2 or 3 moves and took out his divine universe. This is completely crippling his cultivation. Of course, this old man once surpassed the 9th level of the divine space realm and cultivated the powerful divine universe heavenly bone. Even without the divine universe in his body, he can still survive. Therefore, after the old man lost his divine universe, he became completely terrified. His body is still very strong. He did not faint even after being beaten up. You are all wise men of virtue, right? Fine, I want to see how much the Taisher powers behind you are willing to pay to redeem you. Qin Yun shouted, Xiaoba, little monkey, take out all the divine universe in their bodies. Qin Yun wants to cripple these wise men from the Taisher powers and see if they are willing to redeem them. This Taisher power is helping the crown prince of Great Luo. Moreover, The Crown Prince of Great Luo used words to insult Xiao Yuelon and the others. Qin Yun is not showing any mercy. Su Xiaoba and Monkey King led the Divine King army and very skillfully took out the Divine Universe in the bodies of the Taisha Power people. They want the Divine Universe in their bodies to be useful so that Qin Yun can refine super power storing pearl. The Human Snake Clan leader is completely at ease. He was worried that the Taisha Power people would successfully trick Qin Yun and then use him as a sacrifice. Qin Yun is now in the most miserable situation. Even if these Taisha Power people die, they will not help Qin Yun open the ancient city gate. The Crown Prince of Great Luo is truly treacherous. If he was here, he would definitely fall into my hands. Qin Yun is somewhat unwilling. He has always wanted to capture the Crown Prince of Great Luo and beat him up. He wanted to let the entire Divine Desolate know the consequences of having designs on the Nine-Sun Divine Maiden. Without us, you will never be able to enter, an old man from the Taisha Power said with a bitter smile. Which Taisha Power are you from? Qin Yun grabbed the old man and asked. Tui. The old man laughed sinisterly. Don't even think of getting anything out of my mouth. I won't tell you. Even if you kill me, I won't lower my head to you. They have already been crippled, and now they hate Qin Yun very much. Really, Qin Yun has many methods of torturing people. He only used 2 sets on the old man before he couldn't take it anymore and begged for mercy. Everyone present felt their scalps tingle when they saw Qin Yun's torturing methods. No one would be able to endure such torture. The old man was very stubborn just now, but now, even if Qin Yun did not ask him about it, he would still tell him everything. This Taisha faction was called the Supreme Hall. In this universe where the Daluo Empire was located, the 3 Taisha factions were the Imperial Heaven Pavilion, the Supreme Hall, and the 9 Heavens Island. Wang Tiange had an extremely good relationship with the Supreme Palace. The one who tricked the Phoenix Queen and Luo Shu was Wang Tiange. The Crown Prince of Zenith Luo's mother enjoyed an extremely high status in the Hall of Paragon. Therefore, the Hall of Paragon and Wang Tiange would secretly help the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo. The Taisha factions were originally from the Taisha civilization. They had existed for many years and had always wanted to completely control the order of the universe, and they did a very good job. The relationship between the Taisha factions and the Daluo Empire was very close. For example, the Daluo Celestial Emperor's women all came from the Taisha factions. Most of his children grew up in the Taisha factions. The Daluo Celestial Emperor's women fought openly and secretly, so there was a lot of internal strife within the Taisha factions. The Daluo Celestial Emperor also used this method to make the Taisha factions unable to unite, allowing the Daluo Empire to dominate. The main reason why the Daluo Empire could become so powerful was because the person who founded it was truly powerful. Although the Daluo Ancestral Emperor was already dead, his fame still made the 3 Taisha factions fear him. The Taisha ruins had existed before the Taisha civilization flourished. The reason why the Taisha civilization could appear was because of the Taisha ruins. But as the universe's magic spirit was threatened, the ruins were sealed one by one, sealed in divine suns or stars. These divine suns and stars would eventually turn into continents. Most of them were gathered in the divine wilderness, so they were right below it. Even the Taisha factions didn't understand what was going on with the Taisha ruins, because they seemed to be the origin of all civilizations. They were very mysterious. At the peak of the Taisha civilization, they fought against the universe's magic spirit. So both sides suffered heavy losses and the universe's magic spirit was sealed. That was when the Daluo Empire rose and the Taisha civilization declined. The situation in the other universes was more or less the same. Whether all the Taisha ruins were gathered in the divine wilderness or not was still uncertain. The Taisha factions guessed that although there were many universes' magic spirits, they were all a single entity. In fact, all the magic spirits were a single entity. Their thoughts were interconnected. According to old brother Taisha, to understand this matter, one needed to understand a lot of heavenly patterns. Have you entered the other primordial era ruins in the gods desolate? Asked Nine Dragons King. Our supreme palace already has 2 large primordial era ruins in the gods desolate. We've successfully entered. And the one below the Serpent Treasure Land is rather special. We have never seen this type before. What's special about it? Asked the Serpent Clan leader. First of all, it is below a treasure land. It looks like the 9-Sun Lost Spirit deliberately gave it to your serpent race. Furthermore, although this Taisha ruins are not very big, they seem to be the most luxurious type. The materials used to build them are all the best. Most of the other primordial ruins are cities or large clusters of buildings, while this primordial ruin is like a huge, luxurious palace, said Jianshun. The old man said, Strange, why is it below the Serpent Treasure Land? Qin Yun is very puzzled. The Dragon Turtle Treasure Land is also a super treasure land. Why is it not here? There's also one below the heaven-opening ancient clan's treasure land. I wonder what it is like. That is because our serpent race is fated to do so. The Serpent Clan leader said with smile, Your Excellency, Divine King, our serpent race is willing to join the dragon race, but we are not dragons. So we ask Your Excellency, Divine King, to help us transform into dragons. Only then can we join the dragon race legitimately. From the Serpent Clan leader's point of view, the Taisha ruins are too far away from them. He knows that Qin Yun has the dragon bloodline heavenly pattern box and can help their entire race transform into dragons. This is the most practical benefit. According to our Supreme Palace's Palace Master's guess, the master of the Taisha ancient city below the Serpent Treasure Land is a very high-status noble. The old man said again, Where is Great Luo's crown prince? Is there a way to contact him? Qin Yun asked. Chapter 32:11. The old man looked around and said, His avatar was originally here, but after it was affected just now, the soul in the avatar has already dissipated. Then what about his true body? Qin Yun only wanted to know if the crown prince's true body had come. I'm afraid he's still in the imperial city of the Daluo Empire. Even we don't know where his true body is. The elder shook his head. Qin Yun knew that the crown prince was a very cautious person, but he never expected him to be this cautious. Not many people knew where his true body was. Actually, sometimes we can't even tell the difference between his avatar and his true body. His mother is an elder of the Hall of Supreme, and he has abundant resources. It's normal for him to have many powerful avatars. The old man said again. Qin Yun then asked about Luo Shuang. Luo Shuang was the new princess of the Daluo Empire, and she was currently leading troops to attack the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. The Phoenix Queen had not come this time because of Luo Shuang. These people did not know much about Luo Shuang. After all, it was just gossip, and these few thousand people mainly studied the primordial ruins. They did not know much about Luo Shuang, but they knew of her existence. She was the daughter of a female elder of Wang Tiange. Like the Daluo crown prince, Luo Shuang's mother was a female elder of a Taisha faction. It had to be said that the Daluo celestial emperor was quite capable to be able to take down a female elder of a Taisha faction. Also, these people from the Hall of Supreme knew that Luo Shuang had attacked the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. Furthermore, Wang Tiange had contributed the most, and the Daluo Empire had also contributed a bit symbolically. There were several reasons why Luo Shuang had attacked the Vermilion Bird Treasured Land. First, she was targeting the Phoenix Queen and the Phoenix Kingdom. The Phoenix Queen was famous, beautiful, and powerful. She was also the Queen of Kingdom. Although the princess and the crown prince had high status and were powerful, they were still inferior to the monarch of a powerful kingdom. Luo Shuang, as the new princess, needed a lot of fame. In addition, she knew that the Phoenix Queen was also one of the Daluo Celestial Emperor's daughters. Unlike the other children of the Daluo Celestial Emperor, the Phoenix Queen could be considered to have founded her own sect, establishing a powerful kingdom by herself. The exalted Celestial Emperor had given his children a chance to establish their own kingdoms, but none of them had done so mainly because they all wanted to inherit the throne. Among the exalted celestial emperor's daughters, the Phoenix Queen was one of the most outstanding. Luo Shuang wouldn't allow anyone more outstanding than her to exist. Therefore, even if she couldn't destroy the Phoenix Queen, she had to let the Phoenix Queen know how powerful she was. Wang Tiange supported Luo Shuang because he hoped that she would have a higher position in the empire. He even hoped that she could overthrow the crown prince of Origin Luo. Even if she couldn't overthrow the crown prince of Origin Luo, she would at least have a place in the empire. The exalted celestial emperor was powerful, but no matter how powerful he would eventually die. Once he did, the struggle for power would intensify. Qin Yin had previously thought of supporting Luo Shu to fight for the throne. However, Luo Shu decided to learn from the Phoenix Queen and establish her own faction. What will happen if Wang Tiange helps Luo Shuang attack the Vermilion Bird Treasure Land? Qin Yin had previously fought with the Great Profundity Star. With his current strength, he was unable to withstand the Great Profundity Star's full power attack. The Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground will definitely be breached. Both the Vermilion Bird Tribe and the Phoenix Kingdom are too weak against Wang Tiange, the elders said with certainty. The Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground will fall? The Serpent Tribe leader exclaimed. He knew that the Taisher factions were strong, but he didn't know how strong they were. Therefore, he admired Qin Yin for daring to fight the Great Profundity Star and make them suffer. The Serpent Tribe was considered a very powerful tribe outside of the Nine Sun Sacred Ground, but they were very afraid of the Vermilion Bird Tribe. The Vermilion Bird Tribe was the nemesis of the Serpent Tribe. Furthermore, the Vermilion Bird Tribe was a powerful tribe within the Nine Sun Sacred Ground. It won't fall, but the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground's defenses will definitely be breached. We all speculate that Luo Shuang will only deal a heavy blow to the Vermilion Bird Treasure Ground and the Phoenix Kingdom. She will leave after the battle to avoid being trapped, the elders said. Qin Yin was somewhat worried about the Phoenix Queen. Qin Yin is somewhat worried about Phoenix Queen. He had previously asked if she needed any reinforcements, but Phoenix Queen said that there was no need. It wasn't just Qin Yin. Luo Shu, the Nine Dragon King, the Serpent Tribe leader, Chu Limin, and Luo Yaya were also very curious about the Taisher factions. The Supreme Palace and Wang Tiange were the backing of the Crown Prince of the Luo and Luo Shuang respectively. As for the Nine Heavens Island, it was relatively low-key and mysterious. Even the people of the Supreme Palace didn't know much about the Nine Heavens Island. They only knew that one of the daughters of the Nine Heavens Island Lord was the Luo Celestial Emperor's woman. As for the Taisher factions of the other universes, the people of the Supreme Palace also didn't know much about them. They didn't even know their names. They only knew that the empires of the four great universes had frequent exchanges with the upper echelons of the Taisher factions. Qin Yin turned to look at the mysterious, primordial ancient city in front of him. He learned from the people of the Supreme Palace that there weren't many inheritances in the primordial ancient ruins, and there were many artifacts from the primordial civilization. And the most powerful inheritances were the heavenly rune characters and heavenly rune divine medicine. In some primordial ancient ruins, there were sleeping primordial ancient beasts, which were also very powerful existences. The living beings of the primordial civilization were limited to the 9th level of the divine space realm. But later on, they broke through the limit. Even the universe lost spirits couldn't restrict them. The primordial ancient ruins had such inheritances that could break through the limit. Of course, if they broke through the limit again, it would be a new cultivation realm. Therefore, the primordial ancient ruins were extremely important to the empires and the primordial powers. Sir Divine King, you can't open that door. Even if we use all our strength, we might not be able to open it. We've already tried many times before. The old man from the Supreme Palace sighed and said, We haven't tried sacrificing the Serpent Patriarch yet. This primordial ancient ruins seems to have been handed over to them by the 9 Yang lost spirits to guard. The Serpent Patriarch is a breakthrough point. The Serpent Patriarch immediately flew into a rage and shouted angrily, Old bastard, so using me as a sacrifice was just a test. You don't even have absolute confidence, yet you want to use your father's life to try? Sir Divine King, we are willing to cooperate with you to open this door. We only ask that you let us live. The old man knelt on the ground and said in a very humble manner, I've said it before, I'll get the Supreme Palace to redeem you. Let's see what price they can pay. Qin Yun smiled and threw out the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Divine King Heavenly Seal suddenly became very big. It is like a small hill. The seal's head is Qin Yun's statue. It is shining with golden light, as if it was carved out of a golden crystal. It is luxurious and filled with a disdainful aura. Qin Yun used the Imperial Heaven Divine technique to control the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Imperial Heaven might spread in all directions, causing everyone present to feel as if a powerful lost spirit has descended. He released the Divine King Heavenly Seal and erupted with a pressure similar to that of a lost spirit, causing everyone present to feel fear. Chapter 32:12. Qin Yun rarely used the Imperial Heaven Heart to activate the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Imperial Heaven Divine power released by the Imperial Heaven Heart is very special. Although it is not particularly powerful, the power is very shocking. Inside the Divine King Heavenly Seal is Brother Taisher. This is a relatively weak Dharma spirit. However, even the smallest Dharma spirit gives people great pressure. Especially now, everyone's cultivation is limited to the 9th level of the Divine Space Realm. Facing the Dharma spirit, they are even weaker. Those who are familiar with Qin Yun know that the Divine King Heavenly Seal in his hands is very terrifying. It is not that they did not have the thought of snatching the Divine King Heavenly Seal. However, after understanding that the Divine King Heavenly Seal was born with Qin Yun, they gave up on this idea. It can be said that without Qin Yun, there would be no Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Divine King Heavenly Seal is connected to Qin Yun's soul. No one can control this Heavenly Seal. Even if it falls into someone else's hands, it would only be trash. On the plaza in front of the primordial ancient city's gate, thousands of people from Supreme Palace are trembling. They have lost the divine universe in their bodies, so they're even more powerless to resist the pressure from the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The group of wise people from Supreme Palace now know that Qin Yun's Divine King Heavenly Seal is not simple. This kind of divine object is something even Taisher powers cannot create. In their eyes, the Divine King Heavenly Seal is just an object. But in Qin Yun's eyes, it is a friend, a trustworthy partner. Brother Taisher, you'll definitely be able to open this door, Qin Yun said in his heart. Absolutely. Brother Taisher can now sense the primordial ancient city even more clearly. He is sure that he can open it. Qin Yun did not ask him how he can open it. He only gently waved his hand and let the Divine King Heavenly Seal fly over. The Divine King Heavenly Seal did not directly attack the gate. Instead, it flew above the ancient city. The surface of the seal constantly burst out with intense light. Those are the runes formed from energy. These runes are very mysterious. They are formed by intense light. After the light penetrated the ancient city's barrier, they carved runes on many places in the ancient city. Everyone exclaimed in their hearts, especially the wise people from Supreme Palace. They never expected that this Divine King would grasp such a method to easily unseal the primordial ancient ruins. Nine Dragon King, Serpent Patriarch, and Luo Shu felt even more that this Divine King is very important in the Divine Desolate. Even without Nine Yang Dharma Spirit's help, he still holds great power. The Serpent Tribe's leader was finally relieved that he wouldn't have to become a sacrifice. Not long after, the Divine King Heavenly Seal flew back, shrunk, and landed in Qin Yun's hand. You can open the door now, old Brother Taisher said. Under the escort of Su Xiaoba and Monkey King, Qin Yun walked towards the dazzling and golden city gate. He used the small Divine King Heavenly Seal in his hand to stamp the city gate. Bang! A loud sound came from the city gate, and then the vast underground area seemed to tremble. Waves of intense fluctuations rippled throughout the ancient city. The originally golden ancient city was suddenly filled with cold air. White cold air gushed out from the ancient city. This deep, underground, spacious area was very large, and it was pitch black in all directions. The ancient city was suspended in the air above this dark and spacious area. But now, the surroundings suddenly flashed with white light. The dark area turned white. More accurately speaking, the darkness was sealed by the incomparably cold power of ice, causing everyone to see a white ice wall in the distance. At this moment, the ancient city had become a frozen city. The gate opened. Cold air still surged out violently. Supreme Palace's wise experts are now gathered together. They are protected by the barrier released by Nine Dragon King and the others, otherwise they would have turned into ice cubes. This underground area is like an underground ice world. The top, the ground, and the walls are all covered with ice. It's primordial ancient beast, star-swallowing ice python. A Supreme Palace old man's voice is filled with fear as he let out a miserable shriek. We are done for. We are done for. This kind of coldness caused even berserk experts like Su Xiaoba and Monkey King to shiver from the cold. Their bodies are covered with frost. Qin Yun is holding the divine King Heavenly Seal. He let out a bloodline heavenly rune flame into his body to drive away the cold. How strong is this guy? Qin Yun immediately grabbed Monkey King and Su Xiaoba and returned to the plaza. Then he waved his hand and released 9 huge dragon altars. At the same time, he let the divine inscription mountain set up the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation in the middle. Even though more than 100,000 soldiers released divine cosmos power to resist the bitter cold, their bodies are still covered in ice and frost. Even Luo Shu, 9-dragon king, Chu Limin, and other experts' eyebrows are already covered in frost. That kind of ice cold was truly terrifying, because just now, everyone had felt a terrifying cold force seep into their divine cosmos. If it weren't for everyone erupting with their divine cosmos force at the same time to resist that cold force, the majority of the square would have already turned into ice. However, even if they resisted together, they would not be able to hold on for long. This kind of cold is truly dreadful. Moreover, it is unceasingly invading their divine cosmos. Qin Yun set up the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation and took out the bloodline heavenly rune box to draw out the bloodline heavenly rune flame. Only then did everyone feel a trace of warmth. Supreme Palace's wise experts, who were almost frozen into ice, are incomparably shocked. The formation Qin Yun casually released actually has such power. More than 100,000 soldiers and big shots once again felt the formidable hidden power of the Divine King. Just this formation alone is not easy to break in Divine Desolate. Sir Divine King, we should quickly run. This primordial ancient ruin is a great vicious ancient ruin. An old man from Supreme Palace said, with such a powerful ancient beast guarding it, even my Supreme Palace would have to abandon it. Any primordial power would have to pay a great price to suppress such a great vicious ancient ruin. The star-swallowing ice python turned into a huge pillar of white energy and shot out from the center of the ancient city into the sky. It wants to directly attack the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. Yang Yang, I'll leave it to you. Qin Yun immediately released Yang Yang. The moment the 9th heaven vermilion bird appeared, the world of ice and snow immediately surged with heat wave. After Yang Yang came out, she directly turned into the 9th heaven vermilion bird. This beautiful and tyrannical divine bird has long since transformed into an extremely powerful divine bird. Everyone who is shivering from the cold just now, in the blink of an eye, they are sweating all over from the heat. It is simply a world of ice and fire. Qin Yun originally wanted to warn Yang Yang a few more times, but this little girl is now extremely excited. After seeing the star-swallowing ice python, she directly rushed over to attack. Don't look at her human form as a little girl carved from jade. She often played with Mo and the other cute little girls. When she became ruthless, she became an extremely ferocious vermilion bird. Your Excellency Divine King is truly wealthy. Human Snake Patriarch is currently trembling. He is most afraid of this kind of powerful bird-type divine beast. To him, it is a nightmare. It's actually the ninth heaven vermilion bird. Luo Shu looked at the great battle in the distance in shock. The little black donkey is in the divine inscription mountain. He doesn't dare to come out right now. As a black tortoise, he is far from being as good as the vermilion bird Yang Yang. He is afraid that Yang Yang will laugh at him. Chapter 32:13. Qin Yun originally planned to temporarily retreat because the star-swallowing ice python is indeed too powerful. If not for Yang Yang, he would have to use all his strength to suppress it. At that time, many of his secrets would definitely be exposed. Originally, he didn't know that Yang Yang could resist the star-swallowing ice python, but Yang Yang inside the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit could actually sense the aura of the star-swallowing ice python outside. Qin Yun was very worried at first, but Yang Yang said that she is not afraid at all and can easily deal with the snake. Therefore, Qin Yun immediately set up the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin formation to protect everyone and then let Yang Yang out. At this moment, he is standing on top of the Divine Rune Mountain with a solemn expression. He is activating the Divine King Heavenly Seal and at the same time operating the power of several Divine Suns inside the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit. If Yang Yang is not a match for the star-swallowing ice python, he will need to use even stronger power to help Yang Yang. The ninth heaven Xian Sparrow's flame is very terrifying. The entire plaza was originally covered in thick ice, but now it has melted into mist. The ice of the primal beginning ancient city also began to melt. Now, Qin Yun is no longer controlling the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin formation to resist the star-swallowing ice python's cold energy, but the heat wave erupting from Yang Yang's body. Qin Yun didn't expect that Yang Yang would be this powerful. After Yang Yang evolved into the ninth heaven Xian Sparrow, she didn't fight much. Qin Yun was also reluctant to let her go out to fight. And inside the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit, she often entered the Divine Sun to sleep and cultivate. Moreover, there are many delicious things like dragon peaches and so on. It can be said that her growth is very fast. Ling Yun Zi Qingsheng, and Shui Tianzi are often together with Yang Yang inside the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit. Even I don't know how powerful Yang Yang is. That little girl Yang Yang has begun to cultivate the Divine Sun cultivation technique. The Divine Sun cultivation technique was recorded by Mo. Yang Yang is often together with Mo. So she must have comprehended something from it. In other words, Yang Yang's body cultivates Divine Sun? Qin Yun is astonished. It should be. Old brother Taisher is now even more certain. Could it be that cultivating the Divine Sun cultivation technique can allow one to break through the limit of the ninth-level Divine Universe realm? Qin Yun secretly pondered. He also doesn't know what Yang Yang's current cultivation is. Yang Yang's Divine Space Force was at most 1.5 million, while the star-swallowing ice python's Divine Space Force was at most 2 million. However, the star-swallowing ice python was countered by Yang Yang, so the higher Divine Space Force did not have much of an effect on it. She should still be at the ninth level of the Divine Space realm. You have to know that she is a divine beast. With such a huge body, she can withstand even higher divine cosmos power. Old brother Taisher said, the stronger the body, the higher the upper limit of the divine cosmos power in the divine cosmos. If I cultivate all of the divine universe heavenly bones and strengthen my body, will I reach the limit? At that time, how do I break through the upper limit of the divine cosmos power? The divine cosmos in Qin Yun's body was formed from an energy body. If his body wasn't strong enough, then the upper limit of his divine cosmos force would be limited. When one's cultivation was restricted, it was mainly due to the suppression of the divine universe within their bodies. If they were unable to cultivate the divine universe within their bodies, then they could only cultivate their fleshly bodies. Cultivating the fleshly body was very slow and painful. Moreover, one had to pay a great price. Many people could only make do with their fleshly body and mainly relied on the divine universe within their body. The battle in the sky was very intense. The people on the ground were trembling in fear, because with individual strength, they couldn't even withstand a single blow from such powerful beasts. In the heavens divine desolate, how many such powerful beasts were there? Once they encountered them, wouldn't they be finished? Everyone began to think about how they could obtain even more formidable power when their cultivation was restricted to the 9th level of the divine cosmos realm. And the beasts could become extremely huge, which meant that the upper limit of the divine cosmos power could be even higher. At the same cultivation level, powerful beasts were basically stronger than humans. Although the 9 dragons' kingdom and the others were humans, their bloodline could allow them to transform into dragons. Therefore, as long as they worked hard and continued to explore, the upper limit of the divine cosmos power would definitely be higher. There was no need to talk about the dragon turtle race. Everyone carefully thought about it and discovered that most of the stronger races were related to beasts. If the heavens dragon race rose in power in the future, wouldn't they become the strongest race in the heavens divine desolate? It was no wonder that the great Luo Empire ruthlessly suppressed the heavens dragon race and wanted to break them up. In addition, if they could control powerful beasts, wouldn't they also control a powerful deterrent force? The little black donkey heard everyone's discussion inside the divine rune mountain and became slightly excited. We beasts are going to rise. The heavens divine desolate belongs to us. The mountain god ruthlessly patted his head and said with smile, "Fat donkey, you idle fish only know how to eat all day. You won't be able to turn over." The azure dragon said with smile, "Little black, look at that vermilion bird. She's also a big foodie. She is so strong after transforming. What about you?" The little black donkey is very unhappy. Big sister vermilion bird follows the sect master. All the things she eats are the highest quality. Why don't you look at what I eat? I eat trash all day. How can it compare to the delicacies she eats? That Baizé is also a divine beast. Look at how good his body is, unlike you. You're as fat as a ball. Hey, Shu said. The little black donkey didn't say anything. He just silently ate his divine fruit. There are many powerful beasts inside the divine rune mountain and the divine rune palace. Moreover, they can obtain the best bloodline heavenly rune inheritance. Not long after, they will be able to display very formidable power. This spacious underground area no longer has a bit of cold air. Instead, it has turned into a hot furnace. Flames soared to the sky everywhere. The star-swallowing ice python was originally a very long and very large ice snake. Its body was covered with very beautiful ice crystal scales. Now it has been beaten black and swarthy. The ice crystal scales on its surface have all melted. The snake's skin is white and has already been burnt black. The fragrance of meat wafted everywhere. The star-swallowing ice python that came out in an awe-inspiring and domineering manner was very quickly beaten up like a pitiful worm. It can be said that it is being hung up and beaten by Yang Yang. "Big brother, seal it." Yang Yang secretly transmitted her voice to Qin Yin. You don't want to eat this guy? It is roasted very fragrant." Qin Yin is very surprised that this little foodie is not eating the star-swallowing ice python. "I don't eat meat for a long time. I found even more delicious food." Yang Yang giggled and said. Qin Yin took out the divine king heavenly seal and pressed it on the star-swallowing ice python's body, leaving behind a very complicated rune. Yang Yang flew back and forth in the underground area. She took back all the flames she released and then returned to the 9-sun divine soul. Just like this, the ancient primordial bee star swallowing ice python was suppressed and sealed. It even turned into an old man. The star swallowing ice python in human form knelt down and begged Qin Yin for mercy. "This little snake knows his wrongs. Please spare my life, sir. Did you want to freeze us to death just now?" Qin Yin looked at the white-clothed old man. He is the incarnation of the star-swallowing ice python. After being seriously injured by Yang Yang, he became very weak. This little snake is the guardian beast of this city. I have been waiting for the city master to return. Someone is attacking the city. This little snake naturally has to defend. The star-swallowing ice python said bitterly. Chapter 32:14. When the star-devouring ice python flew out, it was extremely arrogant, intimidating everyone present. That kind of domineering and dazzling appearance could be said to be extremely eye-catching. However, it didn't take long for the star-swallowing ice python to be beaten like a dog and be sealed. Everyone felt relieved when they saw the star-swallowing ice python's aura disappear. The 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation didn't disperse. Everyone stayed inside. Chinyan also told them not to come out to prevent the star-swallowing ice python from going crazy. City Lord? This city should be very ancient, right? Chinyan asked. That City Lord, will he really come back? When asked about this, the star-swallowing ice python immediately burst into tears. It choked up so much that it couldn't speak. In the end, it burst into tears. No one expected that the domineering, primordial ancient beast would cry like a child. Chinyan coughed and said, I didn't say I would kill you. Is there a need for this? The star-swallowing ice python lost his temper. After all, he was completely suppressed by Yang Yang. As long as Yang Yang was here, he wouldn't be able to turn the situation around. Sir, I have been sleeping in the city for a long time. The city lord once told me that he might never come back. He told me to wait here and guard the city. The star-swallowing ice python said. Then did he say what he wanted you to wait for? Chinyan asked. The star-swallowing ice python shook his head and asked, What time is it now? Chinyan didn't know how much time had passed since the primordial ancient civilization. He looked at the Supreme Palace people. An old man from Supreme Palace shouted, It's the 999th universe epic's end. The star-swallowing ice python screamed in shock. 999th universe era's end? This was the first time Chinyan learned that they were in the 99th universe era's end. 9 Dragons King, what does this mean? Chinyan asked 9 Dragons King. A universe era is 100 million years. This means that your universe is 99. 9 billion years old and will soon reach 100 billion years. 9 Dragons King said doubtfully. Strange, our Great Flood universe is only 500 plus universe eras. Ba Tain said. Blue universe is 600 plus universe eras. Does that mean our universe is the oldest? Chinyan asked. 999 universe epochs? Are you sure? The star-devouring ice python found it hard to believe that this was real. The old man from Supreme Palace, who was within the 9 Dragons Heaven Origin formation, asked, Which universe epoch were you in back then? This star-devouring ice python was probably the first Grand Era ancient beast the Grand Prime faction had encountered, and it had been beaten into submission, which was why they had the opportunity to interact with it. Back then, we were at the 100th Cosmos epoch, and it just so happened to be the 100th Cosmos epoch. That morning, we had just celebrated the completion of the 100th Cosmos epoch, and in the afternoon, the city lord sent me to sleep. The star-devouring ice python said. In other words, the astral-swallowing ice python did not know what had happened. I don't know how long I slept. When I woke up, the entire city was empty. I slept and woke up again until you broke through the city's defenses. The star-swallowing ice python was at a loss. It still couldn't accept that so much time had passed. 9 Dragons King exclaimed in surprise. Almost 80 billion years have passed, but this city isn't damaged at all. How come your lifespan is so long? The star-devouring ice python shook his head repeatedly. He was completely dumbfounded. This point was also hard for everyone to understand. Not to mention tens of billions of years. Even a few 100 million years wouldn't be enough. And according to Luo Shu, the great Luo Empire and the other empires had only ruled the cosmos for a few 100 million years. The various empires' celestial emperors had already changed over 100 times. According to the various empires and Grand Era factions' guesses, the appearance of living beings should have only been a matter of a billion years. But now, the star-swallowing ice python in this ancient city said that they had existed since the 100th cosmos epoch. It had been almost 90 billion years since then. Then what had happened in the cosmos in the past 90 billion years? Were there no other living beings? Or could it be that after the destruction of the Grand Era civilization, all the living beings in the cosmos were destroyed and life only began to appear in the past few 100 million years? What puzzled Qin the most was that the cosmos was clearly so ancient. So how could the great Luo Empire and the three Grand Era factions rule it for so long? Even a large number of divine sons were destroyed. In the end, it was the 9 Yang Dharma spirits that broke the deadlock and saved the various great cosmos Dharma spirits. Then, after the Dharma spirits of the various cosmos were unsealed, they should have been able to use the cosmos power to instantly destroy the empires and Grand Era factions, but they did not do so. The Dharma spirits of the cosmos were sealed by the empires and Grand Era factions, but this was something that happened many years ago and was recorded in ancient books. As for whether it was true or not, it was hard to say. After the Dharma spirits of the cosmos were unsealed, they easily retrieved the power of all living beings and restricted them to the 9th layer of the divine space realm. They even gathered these divine space realm living beings in the divine wilderness of the heavens. It could be said that their power was boundless. Star-swallowing ice python. Is the city lord of this city still alive? Qin Yun asked. I don't know. The star-swallowing ice python shook his head and said, What happened? What happened? And Wukong looked at the ancient city and said, This city might have the power of time, causing the flow of time inside the city to be different from outside. This reminded everyone that it was completely possible. If that's the case, then what important thing must have been preserved until now? Luo Shu said, At that time, I heard that our Grand Era would experience a nirvana every 100 cosmos epochs. In other words, 100 cosmos epochs is the destruction period, and 200 cosmos epochs is the reappearance period. If that's the case, 1,000 cosmos epochs is the reappearance period of the Grand Era. The star-swallowing ice python suddenly said. The old man from the Supreme Palace exclaimed, Could it be that this ancient city is the earliest ancient city of the Grand Era? It's the ancient ruins of the Grand Era. Most of the ruins you found before were ancient ruins of the other cosmos epochs? Qin Yun said. If that's the case, then it makes sense. Our Great Flood cosmos is very young, but there were still ancient civilizations that appeared before. They should have come from your cosmos to our side. 9 Dragon Kings said. The star-swallowing ice python said, Sir, since you could break the ancient city's barrier and subdue me, then this city should belong to you. Although the ancient city's barrier was broken, there was still a powerful and mysterious power shrouding it. Qin Yin tightly grasped the divine king heavenly seal. Inside the heavenly seal is a grand prime. Although he made a copy of it, it has a deep relationship with the primordial grand prime. The primordial grand prime is in the hands of the 9-sun lost spirit. Who knows what kind of existence the primordial grand prime is? Let's go in and take a look. Qin Yin said. Su Xiaoba and Monkey King are walking at the front, but when they entered the city, they were sent flying by a very powerful power. The city gate is already open. There is no barrier, but they still can't enter. Master, maybe only you and this ice snake can enter, Su Xiaoba said. Chapter 32:15. Previously, it was agreed that Luo Shu, the 9 Dragon Kingdom, the Phoenix Kingdom, as well as the Dragon Turtle race and the Human Snake race could all enter. But now, only Qin Yun can enter. This made him feel somewhat awkward. Your Excellency, please go in. If there's anything you can share, just share it with us. If you can't, I won't say anything, Luo Shu said. This was because it was all thanks to Qin Yun's efforts that they were able to come here. They were just there to be bystanders. The 9 Dragon King, Chu Li Min, the Serpent Tribe's patriarch, and one of the Dragon Turtle Tribe's elders also had no objections. Ice Python, let's go in. Show me around, Qin Yun said. Although the star-swallowing ice python was seriously injured, it was only unable to continue fighting. Walking was not a problem. Qin Yun is not afraid of the star-swallowing ice python at all. Yang Yang is still full of energy. With her here, the star-swallowing ice python would not dare to attack Qin Yun. Moreover, he also knows that Qin Yun is very powerful. He is the leader of this group of people and also some god king. Yes, Sir Divine King. The star-swallowing ice python stood up and bowed as he followed behind Qin Yun. Qin Yun and the star-swallowing ice python walked towards the gate of the primordial ancient city. After entering the city gate, Qin Yun very easily crossed it. But the star-swallowing ice python was sent flying by a formidable power. After being sent flying, the star-swallowing ice python landed on its butt on the ground. It was dumbfounded and started to doubt its life. He couldn't get in. He just flew out there not long ago. Why couldn't he go back in now? Could it be that because they lost, they couldn't protect this ancient city, so they were disqualified? The star-swallowing ice python began to cry again. He couldn't accept this reality. Qin Yun originally wanted to bring the star-swallowing ice python along to familiarize him with the primordial ancient city, but now it seems that he can only go in by himself. Of course, it should be possible to put people into storage treasures and bring them in. However, after entering and releasing them, they might be attacked or even killed by the ancient city. Therefore, Qin Yun did not dare to take the risk. When Nine Dragons King and the others saw that star-swallowing ice python couldn't enter, they were even more surprised. Why could only Qin Yun enter? They are naturally not afraid of the star-swallowing ice python because it has already been sealed by Qin Yun. When Qin Yun entered the ancient city, the city gates suddenly closed. Everyone surrounded the star-swallowing ice python and asked all sorts of questions related to the primordial civilization. The star-swallowing ice python came from the primordial civilization, so everyone was curious about it. After Qin Yun entered the ancient city of primordial beginning, he took out the divine mirror of primordial beginning and illuminated the surroundings. He wanted Brother Taisher to take a look at the ancient city. The buildings in the city were all shining with golden light. They looked like they were built with golden crystals. The whole place was empty. There was nothing there. Let's go to the center of the city first, old Brother Taisher said. After Qin Yun entered the city gate, there was a road that led straight to the center of the city. He flew close to the ground and soon arrived at the city center. There were no buildings in the center of the city. Instead, there was a very spacious square with a giant golden monument erected in the middle. The top of the monument was also empty and nothing could be seen. I wonder if the flow of time inside is different from outside, Qin Yun said. He is somewhat worried that not long after he entered, many years have passed outside. There's not much of a change. After we broke through the enchantment of this city, the time formation stopped. Old Brother Taisher said, use the Divine King Heaven Seal to touch that giant monument. The monument was 100 meters tall. Qin Yun floated in the middle and gently touched it with his hand. There was no other reaction. Then, he used the divine mirror of primordial beginning to probe. After confirming that there were no other problems, he dared to use the Godly King Heaven Seal to touch it. The Godly Monarch Heaven Seal contained the Grand Prime Bloodline Heavenly Pattern Box. Although it was a replica, it still had a large portion of the original Grand Prime's abilities. After the Godly King Heavenly Seal touched the stone tablet, the entire stone tablet began to tremble violently. Then, heavenly runes began to appear on every brick of the square that was thousands of meters wide. It was as if a large formation had suddenly been activated. All the buildings in the city were emitting powerful energy. A golden mist spewed out from every corner of the city. It surged towards the square in the middle of the city and entered the stone monument before entering the Godly Monarch Heaven Seal from the stone monument. At this moment, Qin Yun is holding the Godly Monarch Heaven Seal tightly. He can feel energy frantically pouring into the Godly Monarch Heaven Seal. He now understands that this primordial beginning ancient city is actually made of energy crystals. Those buildings are sparkling crystals and energy is hidden within them. From the energy that erupted at this moment, This energy is very special. It can last for eternity, so the entire city has not decayed, even after tens of billions of years. Old Brother Taisher, how are you? Qin Yun hurriedly asked. A large amount of memories are being transmitted in. This is the inheritance of the primordial civilization. Old Brother Taisher seems somewhat excited. What's the main point? Qin Yun is also very excited. A brand new beginning. It's a long story. In short, it can make you stronger and allow you to transcend the 9th level of the divine space realm. It's also a new reincarnation, the reincarnation of the heaven and earth universe. Old Brother Taisher seems to be excited to the point that he is in a mess. Qin Yun can feel Old Brother Taisher's excitement. He also wants to quickly know what kind of inheritance Old Brother Taisher has obtained. The people outside the city saw the miraculous scene inside the city and are extremely curious. They all hurriedly asked the star-swallowing ice python. The star-swallowing ice python does not know what is happening. He is more curious than anyone because even he can't enter the city, but Qin Yun can. Why? At this moment, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch arrived. He came down through the entrance because the 9 Dragon King had already contacted him through the spatial sound transmission array and told him the situation below. He was told to come down after dealing with the people above. After the Dragon Turtle Patriarch came down, he hurriedly said, "The situation above is not good. The Crown Prince of Great Luo and the 2 super strong armies of the primordial powers have already arrived outside the Human Snake Treasure Land. The All Heavens Dragon race has already entered the Human Snake Treasure Land, but with their strength, they are still not enough to fight against the Crown Prince of Great Luo. The Phoenix Queen originally had a very strong force. If the Phoenix Kingdom's army and the Vermilion Bird race's army came, with the All Heavens Dragon race and Qin Yun's cooperation, it would not be a problem to force back the Crown Prince of Great Luo. We can only wait for the Divine King to come out. They haven't launched their attack yet, right?" Luo Shu asked. "Not yet. They gave us 3 days to let the human snake race open the barrier within 3 days and let them in to annihilate the All Heavens Dragon race." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. A few of the human snake race's elders also came down. They hurriedly went to see their patriarch. These bastards are going too far. The Human Snake Treasure Land was bestowed to us by the 9 Yang Dharma Spirit. What right do they have to threaten us like this? The Human Snake Patriarch is very angry, but there is nothing he can do. In the Divine Desolate, if not for the alliance of many powerful races, there is no way to fight against the armies of the primordial powers and empires. Chapter 32:16. The Crown Prince of Daluo, who was outside, already knew that something had happened to the underground primordial ancient city. However, he did not know the exact situation. Among the thousands of Supreme Palace people, there were quite a few clones that had fallen. There must have been a few big shots who had arranged for their clones to enter so that they could know what was happening underground at any time. Outside the Human Snake Treasure Land, are there more people from the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo or the Hall of Paragon? Asked Luo Shu. Supreme Palace has sent 3 super warships. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "It's the super warship that attacked the Golden Claw Treasure Land on the Taishin planet." An elder from the Hall of Supreme suddenly said, "Where the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo? How many of them are here?" The Crown Prince of Origin Luo has 200,000 soldiers. They look like well-equipped soldiers of the Empire, not his own, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. This is probably an army approved by the Celestial Emperor of Origin Luo. Luo Shu said, "If 200,000 Imperial soldiers came, then it means that even the Celestial Emperor of the Luo attaches great importance to this ancient city. Super beginning ancient city must have sent out a very strong signal and been caught by them. That's why they joined hands and mobilized as much power as possible in a short period of time to attack the Human Snake Precious Land." The old man from Supreme Palace said, "If it was before, the people from the Supreme Palace might have been happy. After all, the Supreme Palace and the Daluo Empire would definitely be able to take down the Human Snake Treasure Ground. But after they discovered that Qin Yun has the 9 heavens vermilion bird and also subdued the star-swallowing ice python, they realized that Qin Yun's current power is very formidable. Even if Supreme Palace and Great Luo Empire were to take over the human snake treasured land, they would have to pay a huge price. Furthermore, now that Qin Yun has entered the ancient primal beginning ancient city, if he were to obtain some other powerful items, the Great Luo Empire and Supreme Palace might suffer greatly. The people from the Supreme Palace actually hoped that the Great Luo Empire and the Supreme Palace would not attack the human snake treasure ground. They were worried that such a fierce attack would anger Qin Yun and cause him to kill all of them. When that happened, they would lose their lives. If there was anyone here who was most afraid of the Supreme Palace and the Empire's attack, it would be the Supreme Palace's captives. Friends, why don't you let one or two of us out to explain the situation? An old man from the Supreme Palace said, if we were to fight, it would not be good for either side. This super beginning ancient city has already been obtained by Lord Divine King, so even if they were to attack, it would be meaningless. If we were to go out and explain the situation, we would be able to avoid the conflict from escalating, which would be beneficial to everyone. Since Qin Yun is not here, this matter will be discussed by 9 Dragon Kings, Dragon Turtle Patriarch, Human Snake Patriarch, Luo Shu, and Chu Limin. If they were to fight, it would definitely be a lose-lose situation. The old man from Supreme Palace said again. They had thousands of captives, and they were still very important to Supreme Palace, so they believed that Supreme Palace was willing to retreat. After discussing with everyone for a while, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, all right, I'll let the two of you go out and talk to them. Then, they found 2 younger-looking men from the crowd and sent them out to spread the word. The 2 youths were Supreme Palace's wise men, and they were quickly sent out of the human serpent treasure land. 2 hours later, they did not return. The patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan descended from the sky with a grave expression on his face. How is it? The old man with the highest position in Supreme Palace hastily asked. Supreme Palace's side said that they want us to let you go first, otherwise they will attack the human serpent treasure land within a limited time. They also said that they have absolute confidence in rescuing you. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, what should we do? The old man from Supreme Palace said anxiously, they think that we won't be able to resist for long. As long as we break the barrier of the human serpent treasure land, they will win more than half. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said with sneer, even without His Excellency Divine King's power, if we join hands, they won't be able to take us down. There are still 3 days. Let's discuss tactics. We will not consider His Excellency Divine King's power for now. 9 Dragon Kings said, the Divine Inscription Mountain is still here. Most of the people they brought are inside the Divine Inscription Mountain, and there is still the All Heavens Dragon Race army above. Long Shu has already been invited down. Long Xiaofeng and Long Tianji are above. Long Yuqing is guarding a treasure land of the All Heavens Dragon Race. Qin Yun is in the middle of the primal beginning ancient city. Through the Divine King Heavenly Seal, he extracted the primal beginning civilization from the huge stone tablet. Old Brother Taisher, you should know a lot about the primal beginning civilization, right? Is it good news or bad news? Qin Yun asked. Old Brother Taisher became silent for a while and said, there are good and bad news. In short, the primal beginning civilization is about to be reborn. Moreover, the rebirth speed will be very fast. The 9 Sun Law spirits will do their best to help the primal beginning civilization rebirth. Qin Yun is very shocked hearing this. Isn't the 9 Sun Law spirits standing on the side of the universe law spirits? Isn't the primal beginning civilization in conflict with the universe law spirits? Why does the 9 Sun Law spirits want to help the primal beginning civilization grow? The primal beginning civilization is destroyed once every 100 cosmos years. Do you know who destroyed it? Old Brother Taisher asked. The universe law spirits? Qin Yun said with frown. Yes and no. The universe law spirits are just pushing the boat to destroy the primal beginning civilization in passing. The main reason is because of the barbarian life forms. Qin Yun is shocked. Are barbarian life forms that powerful? Barbarian life forms. Qin Yun can't help but think of the Nine-Sun Holy Land's dragon race. They have already introduced the blood of barbarian life forms to make themselves stronger. This is what the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. The universe lost spirits are just lost spirits. To them, if one kind of life form in the cosmos is too strong, they will create another kind of life form to suppress it. If they can't suppress it, they will seal the power of the strongest life form. Old Brother Tysher said, "Don't tell me that the life forms in the cosmos are restricted to the 9th level of the divine space realm so that they can be easily killed by the barbarian life forms." Qin Yun said in shock, "Yes, but the 9 Sun Law spirits don't want divine desolate to become a graveyard. So they want to compete with the universe law spirits. Divine desolate was created by the 9 Sun Law spirits. They believe that the life forms in divine desolate will be restricted by order." Old Brother Tysher said, "The primal beginning civilization exterminates the barbarian life forms. The barbarian life forms exterminates the primal beginning civilization. This kind of thing keeps repeating. After the barbarian life forms become stronger, the primal beginning civilization will be suppressed. If the primal beginning civilization is too strong, the barbarian life forms will suppress it. This kind of thing keeps repeating in many cosmos. But now, some of the universe law spirits don't want to continue repeating this kind of thing. So they want to try to combine the primal beginning civilization and the barbarian life forms to form a third kind of life form. They want the 3 different kinds of life forms to fight each other. This is very dangerous because the ones who will suffer in the end will be the life forms in divine desolate." Old Brother Tysher said, "To those universe law spirits, this might be a game or an experiment." Qin Yun suddenly thought of the ancient desolate. The 9 Sun Law spirits said that the ancient desolate was some kind of experiment. Could it be related to this? Chapter 32:17. A complete copy update the latest chapter of the 9 Suns Divine King as soon as possible. Qin Yun has seen barbarian species before. Those barbarian species are relatively weak, but to the living beings of the Divine Desolate, they are very powerful. Barbarians had a huge weakness, which was that they were few in number. If they could improve on this weakness and increase their numbers, they would become even more terrifying. Old Brother Tysher said, "The lost spirits of many universes have always wanted to create the most perfect living beings. They hope that the living beings they create will be undying and indestructible, and will be the strongest. Thus, the Dharma spirits of the few universes competed with each other to see whose creation was stronger. Then it went out of control." "Out of control?" Qin Yun said with a frown. "Could it be that the ones sealing the universe Dharma spirits are the living beings they created?" "That should be the case. However, after they were sealed, the powerful beings vanished as well. These powerful beings are not primordial humans, nor are they barbarians," said Brother Tysher. Qin Yun suddenly thought of Malheur. She had a very special bloodline. Qin Yun, the living beings in the divine wilderness in the heavens will be divided into 3 types based on their bloodlines. The first was mainly the bloodline of the Grand Prime, the powerful races of the god Desolate Heavens, and you all have the Grand Prime bloodline. The second is the barbaric bloodline. There are a few barbaric universes filled with barbaric life forms. Now that those universes are connected to the 9 Suns sacred ground, they will definitely enter the divine wilderness on a large scale in the future. And the third is the combination of the barbarian bloodline and the grand beginning bloodline. This bloodline is the strongest, and it is also a bloodline life form that all the magic spirits in the universe support. This bloodline will be taken in by the 4 empires and Grand Prime organizations. It's hard to say whether the kingdoms of the 4 universes will take it in. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch abhorred such a bloodline. Therefore, he had previously exhorted Qin Yun to prevent the 9 Suns Sacred Land's dragon race from joining the All Heavens dragon race. It would taint the pure dragon bloodline. The powerful races of the Nine Suns' sacred ground will likely introduce this third bloodline because it will make them stronger. Furthermore, they will receive the support of the universe's lost spirit, said Qin Yun. It's not just the Nine Suns' sacred ground. If the powerful races of the divine barren heavens can't resist the temptation, they might also bring in a third bloodline. Once there are enough beings with the third bloodline, they'll be able to wipe out all of them, regardless of whether they're beings with the barbaric bloodline or the Grand Prime bloodline, said Brother Grand Prime. How much do you know about the third bloodline? Asked Qin Yun. Brother Taishur had obtained a large amount of legacies from that stele. The ancient Taishur had studied the fusion of the barbarian bloodline and the Taishur bloodline a long time ago, but they had not succeeded. The primeval people had long predicted that the universe's lost spirit would fuse the two bloodlines in the future and create an even more powerful creature. As for what kind of mentality the universe's lost spirits had when they did such a thing, it was hard to say. It would take a long time for a living being to enter the Nine Suns' sacred ground and find a barbaric species to introduce their bloodline. And the universe's lost spirits hope that the third bloodline will appear quickly, so they will secretly help. The fastest way is to directly bestow the powerful races of the divine barren heavens with the third bloodline. In other words, most of the powerful races that are born with the 90,000th universe divine sun will have this third bloodline. Brother Taishur sighed, and we have no way of stopping it. Wouldn't the Nine Sun lost spirit be making a wedding dress for the universe's lost spirits? No wonder he supports the primeval civilization. Qin Yun felt a headache when he thought of how the divine barren heavens would give birth to a group of powerful races with the barbaric bloodline. The Nine Sun lost spirit also needs to create a bloodline that belongs to him to carry on the inheritance, which is the Nine Sun bloodline. However, to inherit the Nine Sun bloodline, the requirements for all aspects are extremely high, said Brother Taishur. Qin Yun said, the birth of the 90,000th universe divine sun should also be the time of the rebirth of the primeval civilization. What generation of bloodline, heavenly runes, will the powerful races that appear at that time have? It shouldn't be that high. I don't know. In short, when the time comes, the four great empires and a few primeval powers will first bring in the third bloodline. And when the primeval civilization reappears, it will also be born as a powerful race. I guess that the primeval Grand Prime bloodline heavenly rune box has a large number of primeval civilizations' souls sealed inside. The primeval Grand Prime has always been in the hands of the Nine Sun lost spirit. If there are a large number of primeval people's souls inside, then after the primeval people are reborn on a large scale, they will quickly form a fighting force. Qin Yun is very shocked. After the primeval people died, their souls actually entered the primeval Grand Prime box and waited for an opportunity to be reborn. In fact, the souls of many powerful races in the divine barren heavens belong to the primeval people. For example, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch, I suspect that he is one. Brother Taishur said again, the ironic thing is that the primeval powers are also the descendants of the primeval people. However, now they want to bring in the barbaric bloodline to improve their own bloodline. The Dragon Turtle race appeared not long ago. They appeared with the 8th divine sun, right? This Dragon Turtle Patriarch looks like an old fox. Could it be that his soul is also a primeval person? Qin Yun found it very strange before. Perhaps that's the case. The memories in their souls haven't been completely released, so they don't know much about the primordial civilization. Or perhaps this part of their memories has been sealed and will only be unsealed at some point. Brother Taishur also obtained the inherited memories from the giant tablet. Only then did he realize that the primeval Grand Prime was the carrier of the soul. Qin Yun really wants to know when the 90,000 universe divine sun will appear. After the birth of the 9 divine suns, the powerful races in the divine barren heavens will greatly strengthen. And the new powerful races will mainly have the primeval bloodline and the third bloodline. They cannot be provoked. As a divine king, he has just made a name for himself outside the 9 Suns sacred land. Now, Two powerful factions that cannot be provoked suddenly appeared. How can he maintain order? This won't do. I must step into the 9th level of the divine space realm before the birth of the 9 divine sons. Although Qin Yin thinks so, it might not be up to him when the time comes, because he doesn't have that much time. For example, after he leaves this place, he has to go to the Phoenix Kingdom and then to the Exotic Cat Kingdom. The Exotic Cat Kingdom and the Phoenix Kingdom are two very large kingdoms with a lot of people. They absolutely cannot be allowed to join the 3rd bloodline faction. Therefore, Qin Yin must have a good relationship with them. Qin Yin, wait until I absorb the inheritance here. Maybe I can evolve. At that time, I can make you stronger even faster. Brother Taisher said, do I still need to consume Divine Universe Golden Stones? Qin Yin still has nearly 20 trillion Divine Universe Golden Stones. He is worried that it will not be enough to fill the bottomless pit of the Divine King Heavenly Seal. Of course it needs to be consumed. This is a must. Brother Taisher said, I might be able to help you open the 8th pearl of the 9-Sun Divine Soul. The 8th and 9th pearls of the 9-Sun Divine Soul have things placed in them by the 9-Sun Lost Spirit and the Universe Lost Spirit. It will definitely be very useful. Suddenly, the entire underground space trembled. This underground area has a very strong barrier. Now that it's suddenly trembled, it means that a very strong power is attacking from the ground. Could it be that the Taisher faction and the Crown Prince of the Luo attacked? They broke through the human snake treasure land? That shouldn't be. Qin Yin is very surprised. Chapter 32:18. The Human Snake Treasure Land is a super treasure land. The entire treasure land is extremely rich in resources and contains very powerful energy resources. There are many giant Divine Universe Golden Stones and also many fragmented Divine Universe Golden Stones. There are even Divine Universe Purple Crystals and Divine Universe Black Gold, and so on. Such a huge amount of energy could make the entire treasure land's barrier even stronger. Even if the great Luo Empire and Taisher powers joined forces to attack, they would not be able to break through so easily. However, Qin Yin can feel such a huge commotion deep underground. This means that the power attacking the Human Snake Treasure Land is extremely powerful. The primal beginning ancient city under the Human Snake Treasure Land is very important. It's normal for the Empire and Taisher powers to attack together. Old Brother Taisher said, right now the commotion is a bit big, but it hasn't entered the barrier yet. I hope the Human Snake Treasure Land's barrier can last for a while. Qin Yin still can't leave. Old Brother Taisher still hasn't finished receiving the inheritance of the primal beginning ancient city. Outside the primal beginning ancient city, only the star-swallowing ice python is still here. The Supreme Palace's captives are all locked inside the Divine Inscription Mountain. The 9 Dragons' heavenly origin formation is still outside the city gate. The star-swallowing ice python is waiting in the middle of the 9-dragon altar for Qin Yin to come out. In the eyes of the star-swallowing ice python, Qin Yin is his new master. The city lord of the primal beginning ancient city is no longer there. Qin Yin can enter the primal beginning ancient city, and there is also a 9 heavens vermilion bird that defeated him. Therefore, this star-swallowing ice python can only choose Qin Yin as his master. The star-swallowing ice python can also feel the commotion from the plaza outside the city gate. He was injured by Yang Yang earlier and is now healing. Outside the city gate, he can absorb the energy leaking out of the primal beginning ancient city and use it to heal. The Human Snake Treasure Land originally had many huge trees forming a forest, and now those forests are all burning. It is a blood-red flame that turned into a terrifying wave of fire. It is slowly devouring all the trees in the Human Snake Treasure Land. The barrier of the Human Snake Treasure Land is indeed very strong. After suffering many powerful attacks, it has not been destroyed. However, the enemy is just too strong. They created a very small opening and poured in a special and strange blood-red flame. The fire began to spread. The most terrifying thing was that after the blood-red flames burned to a certain degree, they would turn into a vortex and then condense into a huge fireball. When the blood-red fireball reached a certain size, it would suddenly explode, and then a wave of flames would surge out and spread. The human snakes in Human Snake Treasure Land were all gathered at this moment. They were extremely afraid of this blood-red flame. This strange and powerful flame seemed to be born to restrain them. The Nine Dragons Army, Luo Shu Army, Phoenix Army, and God King Army were setting up isolation barriers to prevent the flames from spreading. The strange flames burned the trees, absorbing energy from the trees and then gathering them together to explode. If they weren't stopped, the resulting fireball would be even bigger. Everyone worked together and displayed their respective abilities. They set up an isolation barrier and gradually brought the fire under control. As for the people from the inscription gate in the Divine Inscription Mountain, they repaired the weak hole that had been pierced through. At the same time, they entered the center of the Human Snake Treasure Land's Great Formation to control the Great Formation to become stronger. The Crown Prince of Zenith Luo and the Hall of Supreme Honor had agreed to take action 3 days later. Now that there was only 1 day left, the Human Snake Treasure Ground had already erupted with such intense flames. This caught everyone off guard. According to the latest news that the Dragon Turtle Clan leader had received, the flames were not released by the Crown Prince of the Luo or the Hall of Supremacy. Furthermore, they were not the ones who had attacked the barrier previously. It was the Hua Ling Empire of the Hua Ling universe. Didn't the Hua Ling Empire attack the exotic cat kingdom together with the Taishan star? Hearing this news, Luo Shu was very surprised. At this moment, 9 dragon kings, Dragon Turtle Patriarch, and other leaders are gathered in the Divine Rune Mountain. It was Crown Prince Hua Ling and Taishan star who attacked the Strange Cat Kingdom. The Empire is the Empire, and the Crown Prince is the Crown Prince. The 9 Dragons King furrowed his brows and said, "However, this Human Snake Treasured Land has already been targeted by the Daluo Empire and the Supreme Temple. Now that the Hua Ling Empire has suddenly intervened, the Supreme Temple and the Daluo Empire are actually sitting on the sidelines. Then there's only one possibility. They originally only planned on controlling this ruin, but now they want to work together to destroy this important ruin." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "The Hua Ling Empire must have sent a super warship, right?" Long Shu said, "But we haven't seen a single one so far. There are a total of 3 hidden in the sky. The Supreme Temple, the Daluo Empire, and the Hua Ling Empire each have 3, making a total of 9. But they don't have any intention of using the super warships to attack." Luo Yaya said, "The exotic cat kingdom can't hold on much longer." The 3 super warships of the Hua Ling Empire came from the exotic cat kingdom. Chu Limin said, "The army brought by the Crown Prince of the Luo has entered the super warships." Luo Shu said, "This way, when they use the super warships to attack, we can only block. We won't be able to fight back. Currently, only Qin Yin has the ability to destroy those super warships. However, that is a matter of the past. When the major powers saw the super warships of the Taishan star destroyed, they will definitely make improvements and strengthen their defenses. Even if Qin Yin attacked, it would be very difficult to destroy them. The super warships are used to break the barrier of the Human Snake Treasured Land and then inject a large amount of that strange flame. Finally, the army will be sent to sweep through. If they abandoned the treasured land and left, they would not have to face such great pressure. The primordial ancient ruins under this treasured land are very important. The Divine King has not come out yet. We must buy time for him." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch was thinking about how to turn the situation around. Here, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch was like an experienced and astute strategist. Everyone listened to him. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch walked back and forth a few steps and asked, "And Wukong, can we teleport to the exotic cat kingdom from here?" "Yes, but we need to absorb a lot of energy from the treasured land." And Wukong looked at the Serpent Patriarch and replied, "How much can we use? Will we drain the treasured land dry?" "Of course not. Use as much as you want." The Serpent Patriarch said straightforwardly. The barrier of the treasured land can still hold on for a while. The flames of the Hua Ling Empire are already under control. Then we will send some troops to the treasured land of the exotic cat kingdom. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, let's see if the Hua Ling Empire will send reinforcements. In the face of such a super warship, no matter how many soldiers were left to guard the treasured land, they would be wiped out by the enemy. The barrier of the treasured land of the exotic cat kingdom had already been broken. Now is the time for the army to sweep through the treasured land. Sending troops at this time could help relieve the pressure on the exotic cat kingdom. They could also force the Hua Ling Empire's super warships to retreat. Chapter 32:19. Although exotic cat kingdom lost to Qin Yun, it is still a kingdom after all. It still has its own foundation. Even if it is attacked by a powerful enemy, it can still resist for a period of time. According to the latest news, only Prince Wu Ling and the army of the Taishin Star attacked. However, after a long time, the Hua Ling Empire sent 3 more super warships. After breaking through the barrier of the exotic cat kingdom's treasure land, the 3 super warships rushed to the human snake treasure land. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch also knows the importance of the exotic cat kingdom. This is because all the major factions in the Divine Desolate know that the exotic cat kingdom has secretly pledged allegiance to Qin Yun. If Qin Yun cannot protect the exotic cat kingdom, then other factions will have to think twice before pledging allegiance to Qin Yun. In addition, the exotic cat kingdom's treasure land was also in the 9 Suns sacred ground. It was said that the location was quite good. If he could protect this treasure land, it would be much easier for him to march into the 9 Suns sacred ground in the future. Although the Phoenix Kingdom's Vermilion Bird treasure ground was also in the 9 Suns sacred ground, and they could build a large teleportation array to become a passageway for Qin Yun and company to enter the 9 Suns sacred ground. The more such passageways, the better. Therefore, the Phoenix Kingdom and the Exotic Cat Kingdom are very important to them. The treasure land where the Exotic Cat Kingdom is located should be the White Tiger treasure land. This is a very large treasure land, and the White Tiger race in the treasure land is extremely powerful. As long as we successfully help them repel the enemy, the Exotic Cat Kingdom and the White Tiger race will be even more willing to join us. Join us, said the Dragon Turtle Patriarch. The enchantment of the White Tiger treasured land has already been broken. Now, the armies of the Supreme Mystery Planet and the Hua Ling Empire have entered the White Tiger treasured land to sweep through it. Luo Shu said, our warriors have been strengthened by the formation and obtained the 5th-generation bloodline heavenly runes. They can fight against the Hua Ling Empire and the warriors of Taishin Planet. They should have an underground city. Let's get in touch with them first. After that, I will go to their underground city and set up a teleportation portal, and Wu Kong said. The White Tiger treasure ground was also very vast, and it would be difficult to sweep through it with just 2 or 3 super warships. Therefore, the ground army needed to attack and defeat the Exotic Cat army and the White Tiger army in the White Tiger treasure ground. The Divine Wasteland had become very strong, and it was difficult for the earth to be torn apart. Even if it was a very violent vibration, it would still cause damage to the earth, especially in the treasure land. Therefore, many powerful races would build underground cities or many underground tunnels in their treasure lands. It would not be easy to completely annihilate all the powerful races in the treasure lands. In a treasure land like the White Tiger treasured land, even a few hundred cities would appear to be empty. If 2 or 3 underground cities were hidden underground and protected, it would be very difficult for those super warships to break through. Exotic Cat King had a spatial sound transmission formation, and Wukong could use this spatial sound transmission formation to locate Exotic Cat King. Then, he could directly teleport to Exotic Cat King's side to set up the formation. While they were discussing, the divine judge of the Myriad Realms Divine Court suddenly arrived. The teleportation formation that Wukong had set up in the Human Snake Treasure Land could connect to the 4 God Sons. The sudden arrival of the divine judge surprised everyone. Although the current strength of the divine court of the myriad realms was relatively average, one more person meant one more portion of strength. The god chief judge did not come alone. He brought along a few deity throne gods: thunder god, fire god, war god, Hercules god, snow goddess Ru Jing, star god, and wind god Luo Yaofeng. Sword god Xia Wufeng was also here. They were all deity throne gods who were good at fighting. The reason why they were brought here by the divine judge was because their strength was at the 9th level of the divine space realm, and the upper limit of their divine space force was 400,000. In the past, these deity throne gods could obtain energy from multiple divine suns of the myriad realms to make them stronger in battle. But later on, the 9 suns' lost spirit no longer allowed them to obtain the power of the myriad realms' divine suns, causing the entire divine court of the myriad realms to weaken rapidly. Originally, the divine court of the myriad realms was formed to maintain order in the divine desolate. But as more and more powerful forces appeared in the divine desolate, the divine court of the myriad realms lost its sense of existence. Later on, with the help of divine King Qin Yun, the divine desolate gradually improved. Now, many deity throne gods had their own missions and were active outside the divine desolate and the 9 sun sacred land. The main purpose was to rope in many powerful races and let the patriarchs and elders of those races sign a soul contract with the divine court of the myriad realms and abide by the rules set by the divine court of the myriad realms. They achieved good results in this aspect, and those relatively small powerful races would join them. They didn't need to pay anything. If the powerful races were attacked by others, the divine court of the myriad realms would also lend a hand. Although the strength of the divine court of the myriad realms was not as weak as before, it was still unable to grasp the strongest power. Therefore, they couldn't make those large, powerful races bow their heads. However, in the past 2 days, they suddenly discovered that deity throne gods could obtain power from the 4 divine suns in the divine desolate. They didn't know what was going on, and they all believed that it was Qin Yun's doing. In the divine desolate, they could absorb the energy of the 4 divine suns to speed up the recovery of their divine cosmos power. Or, when needed, they could use their deity thrones to mobilize powerful gods. The power of Yang could assist in attack or defense. The 4 divine suns were created by Qin Yun. They were also Qin Yun's last territory. However, Qin Yun's understanding of the 4 divine suns was still very little. For example, he didn't know that deity thrones could absorb the divine power of the 4 divine suns. Our divine court of the myriad realms is not as weak as before. Now, with the help of the 4 divine suns, our divine cosmos power will be even stronger. The divine court's own strength was much stronger. He had tested it before and could easily kill the elites of the empire. Warriors. Strange. After Brother Yun entered the primal beginning ancient city, we were able to absorb the divine power of the 4 divine suns. What did he do? Xia Wufeng also discovered that he could borrow divine power from the 4 divine suns in the past 2 days. You all seem to be battle-type gods. However, what the human snake treasure land needs right now is defense. His Excellency the Divine King is still down there. It's best if we guarantee that he won't be disturbed. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "How's your defense?" Star God said, "Using offense as defense is not a problem. I can summon stars to descend or summon stars to move and collide in the sky. I can disturb those big ships." Summoning stars. Currently, the universe's lost spirit has not been sealed. The stars in the sky are firmly controlled by the universe's lost spirit. It's difficult to destroy them. Luo Shu said in astonishment, "We shouldn't be able to summon stars anymore, right?" Star God smiled faintly. That charming smile caused even Luo Shu's mind to waver. "The stars I summon are all created by me. Naturally, I can. If a large star were to descend, its power would be very great. Star God could summon stars, so it would undoubtedly pose a great threat to the super-large ships. All right, you guys go to the White Tiger Treasure Land first. Finish the battle there quickly and then hurry back," the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. Chapter 32:20. Is there really no problem with the defense of the Snake Treasure Land? Now, three forces are attacking together. The Divine President was a little worried because Qin Yun was under the Snake Treasure Land. The most important task of the Myriad World Divine Court was to protect Qin Yun, the Divine King. My Dragon Turtle clan can protect the Snake Treasure Land. We can hold on until you come back. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "You don't have to worry too much. As long as the Cat Kingdom succeeds, we can temporarily force the three super ships of the Soaring Fire Empire to retreat. The remaining Great Luo Empire and Supreme Palace are nothing to fear." In their previous calculations, only the Great Luo Empire and Supreme Palace would attack the Snake Treasure Land. Then, they estimated their own strength to fight against these two great forces. However, the arrival of the Soaring Fire Empire was unexpected. If the Soaring Fire Empire was added, their chances of winning would be very difficult to say. If they had the power of the Phoenix Kingdom, it would be more or less possible. But now, the Phoenix Kingdom was also attacked and could not contribute much. This battle can be considered the first time our alliance has joined forces. Although the Divine King is not here, we can still fight this battle well. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, "Everyone, don't worry. The Snake Treasure Land is very important. This will be the starting point of our alliance. I will defend this place even if I have to risk my life." The Dragon Turtle clan was best at defense. He was confident that he could protect Qin Yun. The Myriad World Divine Court knew the Dragon Turtle clan very well. Outside the Nine Sun Holy Land, the Dragon Turtle clan was considered a strong clan in the front row. Moreover, they had a super treasure land. They often sent people to contact the Dragon Turtle clan, but they were unable to get the Dragon Turtle clan to accept the Myriad World Divine Court. Now, the Dragon Turtle Patriarch had been recruited by Qin Yun and was willing to join the Dragon Clan, as an example. This was a good thing for the Myriad World Divine Court. The Divine President and the Star God also agreed to help the Cat Kingdom. Whether or not they could make the three super ships of the Soaring Fire Empire retreat from the Snake Treasure Land, it would be beneficial in the end. And Wukong had already returned and said, "The great formation over there is ready. Everyone enter the Divine Inscription Mountain and teleport it over. Then we can quickly enter the battle." There were 9 levels inside the Divine Inscription Mountain. Each level was very large and could accommodate many people. This was also the reason why Qin Yun brought the Divine Inscription Mountain this time. It was because he could bring an army to carry out a surprise attack. Luo Shu, Chu Li Min, Nine Dragon King, Snake Clan leader, and Long Shu all led their armies into the Divine Inscription Mountain. There were a total of more than 800,000 warriors. Only a small portion of the Serpent Warriors and the Dragon Tortoise Tribe's warriors remained in the Serpent Lands. Most of their forces were sent to support the Strange Cat Kingdom and the White Tiger Tribe. After the big shots of the Alliance left, the Patriarch of the Dragon Turtle Clan muttered to himself, "Whether or not the Grand Beginning Nirvana City can be successfully opened and operated will depend on your Excellency, the Godly King." "Patriarch, what is the Grand Beginning Nirvana City? Could it be the underground city?" A young man asked. "Yes, that city is very important. It determines whether or not we, the Taisher people, can be reborn. We are all Taisher people. Our souls came from the Taisher civilization hundreds of universe years ago. However, due to some reason, we are unable to fully awaken our memories. But as long as we can enter Nirvana City, it will be fine." The Patriarch of the Dragon Turtle Clan smiled and said, "Only your Excellency, the Godly King, can enter. Let's see if he can open it." Why would such an important Nirvana City be built under the Serpent Lands and not under our Dragon Turtle Treasure Lands? The young man asked doubtfully. This was arranged by the Nine Yang Law Spirit. The Patriarch of the Dragon Turtle Clan said, "Let's prepare to move. Those big ships seem to be about to attack." At this moment, they were still in an underground city under the Serpent Lands. The Patriarch of the Dragon Turtle Clan came to the surface and looked at the repaired barrier above. 9 giant ships appeared. The Serpent Lands were enveloped by a super huge glowing dome. This barrier was very powerful. It required a strong enough force to burst out at the same time in order to destroy the barrier. As long as the barrier was destroyed, they could attack the Serpent Lands and go deep into the underground Nirvana City. The patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan had already come to the surface and was floating in the air above the forest, paying attention to the situation in the sky. There were 9 giant ships in the sky. At this moment, they were revolving around the Serpent Lands barrier, as if they were looking for a suitable position to attack. Once these 9 giant ships attacked at the same time, the power would definitely be extremely great. It would be able to break through the barrier, but the patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan was still confident that he could block it. If 9 giant ships attack at the same time, then I will have to pay a huge price. The patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan said to the elders beside him, "If I fall, you guys take over. You must protect the Serpent Lands." The elders nodded silently. The Dragon Turtle clan could completely not participate in this matter. Their Dragon Turtle treasured lands were also very powerful, but they had to fight against these forces. This was because the souls of the Dragon Turtle clan all came from the primordial civilization. It was just that they had yet to fully awaken. Although the so-called primordial forces were also the descendants of the primordial people, they had long since deviated from the original intentions of the primordial civilization. 12 hours after the divine inscription mountain arrived at the White Tiger treasured lands, 3 giant ships suddenly flew away from the sky. Has the fire-soaring empire withdrawn? The patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan heaved a sigh of relief. Of course, the fire-soaring empire had more than 3 giant ships, but they could only use 3 of them now. The other giant ships had to be left behind for the empire, or to preserve a certain amount of offensive power, just in case. These 3 giant ships had left the Serpent Lands and had to quickly rush to the White Tiger treasured lands to support them. Otherwise, the White Tiger treasured lands barrier that they had worked so hard to break through would have been in vain. Taking down the Strange Cat Kingdom would allow them to obtain a large number of small divine sun cores. This was a very scarce resource at the moment. It was very important for the fire-soaring empire and the supreme Xian star. At this moment, Qin Yun suddenly appeared behind the patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan. He came out of the underground Nirvana City and brought the star-swallowing ice python with him. The star-swallowing ice python was cultivating outside the Nirvana City, and its injuries had already recovered. This was an extremely powerful primordial ancient beast, much stronger than the Dragon Turtle clan leader. He now called Qin Yun Master and was completely loyal to Qin Yun. Patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan, how is the situation in the Serpent Lands? Why isn't the divine inscription mountain here? As soon as Qin Yun came out, he felt that the divine inscription mountain was far away from the Serpent Lands. Seeing Qin Yun come out with the star-swallowing ice python, the patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan was completely relieved. He said with a smile, "Your Excellency, Divine King, I made a decision on my own and sent them to support the Strange Cat Kingdom. You won't blame me, right?" Then, the patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan briefly told Qin Yun the situation. After Qin Yun heard this, he nodded and said, "This is indeed possible. If it goes smoothly, I won't have to go to the White Tiger treasured lands personally." He raised his head and looked at the 6 giant ships in the sky. He didn't have the Divine Sun nuclear bomb refined from the small Divine Sun core, so it was difficult to shoot down these giant ships. However, he still had a way to shoot down the giant ships. He didn't need to shoot down all of them. As long as he could shoot down one, it would have a deterrent effect. Chapter 32:21. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch obviously knew that Qin Yun had once shot down such a super warship, but it was different now. The people in the warships all knew that Qin Yun was in the Human Snake Treasure Land, so they would definitely be on guard. "Your Excellency, these super warships must have been modified. They're not easy to destroy," the Dragon Turtle Patriarch said. It's best to investigate the situation clearly before attacking. He was worried that Qin Yun would waste precious weapons. If he could investigate the situation clearly and if the defense of the super warships was really strong, there was no need to attack like before. I have other methods. Chinya no longer had any Divine Sun nuclear bombs, otherwise he would have really given it a try. How's the situation in Primordial Nirvana City? The Dragon Turtle Patriarch was very concerned because it concerned the rebirth of the entire primordial civilization. I have already activated this city, and everything inside is operating successfully. After you enter, you will soon be able to awaken the memories of the primordial civilization and obtain the bloodline inheritance of the primordial civilization. Qin Yun said, but it's best not to enter now because the human snake treasured land has not stabilized. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch was very excited. He did not understand how Qin Yun had activated the city, but he knew that Qin Yun must have paid a huge price. That city can accommodate millions of people. It'll be our starting point. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch said, Your Excellency, you don't have to worry that the revival of our primordial civilization will affect your dignity. Qin Yun shook his head. It's hard to say. The primordial civilization was very powerful back then. If the entire primordial civilization was as powerful as it was back then, it would be normal for them to be unconvinced by me. That won't happen. You will always be the godly king that I acknowledge. I know very well that the divine wilderness needs your excellency. The entire divine wilderness was formed because of your excellency's great efforts. In this new era, after the revival of our primordial civilization, we will definitely be able to recognize right from wrong. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch was very certain. However, Qin Yun was not so optimistic because even most of the powerful races in the divine wilderness did not acknowledge him. Unless he could display extremely powerful strength to intimidate the living beings in the divine wilderness, he would be able to make them follow the order of the divine wilderness. The Dragon Turtle Patriarch saw that Qin Yun was somewhat pessimistic and felt slightly worried. The Dragon Turtle race was only a small portion of the revived primordial civilization, and the entire primordial civilization was huge. The primordial civilization was also divided into many eras. This was because the primordial civilization would be destroyed once every 100 cosmic epochs before reappearing. They would leave behind a large number of souls in each epoch. Every era's primordial civilization would have a huge difference in their thinking. The souls of the Dragon Turtle Patriarch and the others belonged to the earliest primordial civilization. They did not forget their original intentions and pursued limitless breakthroughs. White Tiger treasured land. How is the situation? Qin asked. Patriarch was Dragon Patriarch. The Patriarch of the Dragon Turtle clan then briefly explained the situation of the Exotic Cat Kingdom. The Divine Inscription Mountain directly teleported to the White Tiger treasure land. Then, several super strong armies rushed out, catching the Great Mystery Star and Hualing Empire's armies off guard. After these two transcendent forces destroyed the White Tiger treasure land's barrier with their super warships, they dispatched their armies to sweep the White Tiger treasure land. They wanted to capture the leaders of the White Tiger treasure land and the Exotic Cat Kingdom and force them to hand over their control. During the process, the White Tiger tribe and the White Tiger tribe hid underground and engaged in guerrilla warfare. Therefore, the Great Black Star and Hualing Empire's armies were not very successful. Later, after the Emperor's Heaven's Path Divine White Mountain passed, the White Tiger tribe and the Hualing Empire cooperated with the other armies to fight back. They could only ask for reinforcements. As for the Vermilion Bird Kingdom and Phoenix Kingdom, only the Vermilion Bird tribe's Path Divine White Mountains barrier was broken. Princess Luo Shuang led Wang Tianga's army and didn't enter the Vermilion Bird treasure land. Otherwise, they would be trapped. Instead, they sent hundreds of elite squads to carry out sneak attacks inside the Vermilion Bird treasure land. This gave the Phoenix Kingdom and Vermilion Bird tribe a headache. Luo Shuang's elite squads were made up of 10 people. They were very good at hiding. They hid in such a vast treasure land, and it was very difficult to find them. These elite squads were very powerful, and they carried many advanced tools. From time to time, they would cause trouble and give the Phoenix Kingdom and Vermilion Bird tribe a headache. Therefore, the Vermilion Bird Tribe and the Phoenix Kingdom had to form many squads and spread out to search the treasure land. They want to find all the hidden enemies and kill them. The Vermilion Bird Treasure Land is indeed very troublesome. This will affect the Vermilion Bird Tribe and the Phoenix Kingdom's harvesting of resources. Qin Yun said with a frown, "Wait until this place is stable. I will go and help them." Qin Yun had a way to quickly sweep the entire treasure land. He just needed Malheur to come out and help. Although it was risky, he was not afraid at all. After the Divine King Heavenly Seal obtained the inheritance in Taisher Nirvana City, it also underwent a Nirvana transformation and became even more powerful. Your Excellency, Divine King, how can we force the super ships in the sky to retreat? The Dragon Turtle Patriarch could only block the attacks for a period of time. He couldn't force them to retreat. Ice Python and I will sneak into one of the super ships. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Directly cause trouble from inside. This is the fastest way." The Dragon Turtle Patriarch is frightened. Qin Yun wants to kill his way into a super ship. The super ship's defense is very strong. How can it be so easy to sneak in? Even if he sneaked in, it is the enemy's lair. However, he thought about how powerful the star-swallowing ice python is. If he could really sneak in, then the star-swallowing ice python would indeed cause a lot of trouble inside. Not only the star-swallowing ice python, Qin Yun also has the ninth heaven Shin Sparrow. That is the ninth heaven divine beast that made the star-swallowing ice python kneel. Qin Yun learned from the Dragon Turtle Patriarch that the gods of the myriad realms' divine court can absorb the divine power of the four divine suns. Although he can't absorb it himself, Yang Yang can. Nine Sun Divine Hammer, Heaven Crown Hat, Heaven Trampling Divine Boots. These sun souls can also absorb the power of the four divine suns. This can undoubtedly increase his defense and combat power. If the sun soul can't absorb the energy of the divine sun, it will weaken a lot. Therefore, Qin Yun hasn't used it for a long time. Dragon Turtle Patriarch, you guys just need to guard this place. I will start now. Qin Yun grabbed the star-swallowing ice python's shoulder and used invisibility. After becoming invisible, he quickly flew out of the barrier and flew towards a super ship of the Great Luo Empire. As he approached the super ship, Qin Yun sensed a very strong mental power wave fluctuating back and forth. This mental power wave is currently scanning the surroundings. Even if a mosquito approaches, it can be clearly scanned. However, this is completely useless against Qin Yun. The barrier released by his Divine King Heavenly Seal can prevent them from being discovered. Ice Python, don't be in a hurry to attack after entering. Qin Yun transmitted his voice to the star-swallowing ice python and said, "When I tell you to attack, attack. And when you attack, don't make too much noise." Chapter 32-22. The main reason why Qin Yun chose the Great Luo Empire's warship was to find the Great Luo Crown Prince. After approaching the warship, he didn't use Mysterious Penetration divine ability. With the defense of a warship of this level, it wouldn't work. The warship was surrounded by large and small mirrors. If there was any movement, the mirrors would immediately transmit the information to the main control room. Qin Yun carried the star-swallowing ice python and flew around the super warship stealthily for a long time before he found a very concealed entrance. It was near the rear of the warship, and there was an opening the size of a small door. This door was used for patrols, and there were a large number of soldiers guarding the entrance. Even if he found this small entrance, it would still be very difficult to sneak in because there were 20 very powerful soldiers guarding the entrance. Qin Yun and the star-swallowing ice python looked at the entrance from afar and paid attention to the patrols. "Master, if you want to enter from here, you can only force your way in." The star-swallowing ice python transmitted to Qin Yun. "Ice Python, go attack this warship. You don't need to become too big to avoid becoming an easy target. Lure them away, and I'll go in myself." Qin Yun could only do this. Although the star-swallowing ice python quickly lost to Yang Yang, he was not weak. especially after absorbing the energy of Taisha Nirvana City. He became stronger in all aspects. Qin Yin didn't need the star-swallowing ice python to risk his life. As long as he attracted attention, the star-swallowing ice python's strength was more than enough, and he wouldn't be injured. Yes, the star-swallowing ice python immediately took action. Not long after, the star-swallowing ice python transformed into his true form. He wasn't very big, but the divine cosmos power aura on his body was very powerful. Especially the ice-cold power. It instantly froze the 10 patrols into ice, and they fell to the ground. The sudden appearance of the star-swallowing ice python caused a huge commotion. The star-swallowing ice python successfully attracted the patrol's attention. Moreover, he attacked the side of the warship with all kinds of berserk ice swords. At first, the patrols thought that it was a relatively powerful beast, so they immediately gathered their strength and charged at the star-swallowing ice python. At this time, Qin Yin also quickly entered the small door and stuck to the top of the passage. At this moment, many soldiers rushed out from the passage to surround and attack the star-swallowing ice python. After Qin Yin successfully entered, he carefully searched for the main control room inside the warship. He wanted to know if the Crown Prince of Zenith Luo's true body was here. Even if he wasn't here, he could capture his avatar and kill it. That way, he would be able to intimidate the Crown Prince. The current Qin Yun's upper limit of divine cosmos power has greatly increased. He has never cultivated the divine cosmos within his body. The reason why he could increase it is because his fleshly body has improved greatly. The energy that erupted from the giant monument in primordial Nirvana City had transformed Qin Yun's body through the divine King Heavenly Seal. Actually, as long as he entered the plaza in the middle of the primal Nirvana City and accepted the tempering of the giant monument, his body would be able to improve. Qin Yun's previous upper limit of divine universe force was 240,000, but now it had risen to 300,000. His divine universe, heavenly bone, had also been completely tempered and strengthened. Being tempered in Taisha Nirvana City had saved him a lot of time and a large amount of divine universe golden stones. This was a huge harvest, not to mention the inheritance he had obtained from the divine king Heavenly Seal. He was only at the 8th level of the divine universe realm, but he already had an upper limit of 300,000 divine universe force. If he stepped into the 9th level of the divine universe realm, his upper limit of divine universe force might even reach 600,000. After Qin Yun's fleshly body became stronger, his divine universe force also increased a little from 1,200 to 2,000. It had to be known that after Qin Yun's divine universe heavenly bone was strengthened, he was different from others. It was more difficult for him to cultivate the divine universe heavenly bone, which meant that his divine universe heavenly bone was very powerful. Therefore, his current fleshly body was stronger than many 9th-level divine universe realm experts. The star-swallowing ice python could sense that Qin Yun had become stronger. Originally, a primordial ancient beast like him could completely disregard most human experts, but now he felt a kind of pressure when facing Qin Yun. Even if Qin Yun did not let Yang Yang, the 9th heaven Shin Sparrow, come out, the star-swallowing ice python felt that he could not beat Qin Yun. Qin Yun put on the heavenly hat. Currently, his divine universe force was a huge shortcoming. 2,000 divine universe force was not bad for many people, but in his opinion, it was far from enough. There were at least 3,000 of the Supreme Palace's wise men who had been captured. There were even more than 4,000 middle-aged and elderly people. If one's body and divine universe force were equal, then the other party's divine universe force was strong. Then the other party was strong. Qin Yun used the heavenly hat to prevent the other party from using powerful divine universe force to attack his soul. The super warships were very large. The smallest was 10,000 meters long, and the largest was tens of thousands of meters long. It was like a small city floating in the air. The energy source inside was also the divine sun core. The interior was very complicated. It was not easy to find the main control room but it was very easy to find the energy source. The energy source was the divine sun core. Using the divine mirror of primordial beginning, he could quickly determine where the divine sun core was. The large energy source of this level of super warship should be formed from a large number of small divine sun cores. It would be great if I could take away their small divine sun cores. Qinyan passed through the inner passageway and flew towards the location of the energy source. After the star-swallowing ice python completed its mission, it immediately flew away and harassed the super warships. Although the super warships were very large, they were helpless when the powerful and agile beasts got close to them. They could only let the soldiers fly out to attack. The star-swallowing ice python was a snake. The Great Luo Empire and the Supreme Palace believed that it flew out from the human snake treasure land. The big shots in the super warship were rather surprised because, according to their previous intelligence, there were no such powerful beasts in the human snake treasure land. Qinyan took out the divine mirror of primordial beginning and quickly traveled through the Great Luo Empire's super warship. He could use the penetration divine ability to pass through many compartments and head towards the energy source. If I find the location of the energy source, I can find the main control room. Through the divine mirror of primordial beginning, Qinyan could see that the energy source was in 17 places on the super warship. The energy source was the small divine sun core. They were not all placed in one place, but there was one place where the small divine sun core was the most. There were a total of 20, and the other places only had 3 to 5. Qinyan needed the small divine sun core. This could be used to refine the divine sun nuclear bomb. This was the killer of super warships. As long as he killed a few more, these super warships would not dare to run amok in the divine desolate. Moments later, Qinyan finally arrived at the cabin where the 20 small divine sun cores were stored. This cabin was very large. The small divine sun cores formed a formation, and there were 10 armored warriors guarding it. They did not discover Qinyan's arrival. Chapter 32-23. The star-swallowing ice python is indeed worthy of being a primordial ancient beast. That kind of incomparably strong ice-cold power can easily freeze warriors at the 9th level of divine universe power, making them fall to the ground like ice sculptures. Even if the people sealed in ice don't die, they will be seriously injured. Supreme Palace and Great Luo Empire are the strongest powers in this universe. Their reaction speed is extremely fast. When they saw that the warriors they sent out were useless against the star-swallowing ice python, they let the warriors return to the huge ship. Next, they sent out many small flying ships. These flying ships are only a few dozen meters long and have very strong armor. They have powerful crossbows inside that can shoot flame bolts. After dozens of these small flying ships flew out from the huge ship, they crazily shot flame bolts at the star-swallowing ice python. These flame bolts are not small. They contain extremely strong energy and are supported by runes. When they hit the star-swallowing ice python's body, a series of explosions occurred. This kind of crossbow is also very expensive. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they would not be willing to use it. But now they have no other choice. Furthermore, they can already see that the star-swallowing ice python is a primordial ancient beast. They want to capture it and study it. Qinyan previously told the star-swallowing ice python not to fight head-on if he can't beat it. Now that the star-swallowing ice python has successfully completed his mission, after he feels pain, he should immediately retreat. Qinyan stealthily entered the energy core cabin of the super huge ship. There are 20 small divine sun cores forming a large formation here. The energy waves are very berserk. Although the warriors guarding here are very strong, no matter how strong they are, they're only at the 9th level of the divine universe realm. Old brother Taishur, can you quickly dismantle the small divine sun cores here? Qinyan asked. The inner core of the little divine sun inside the cabin is not very big. It is several tens of meters tall, and there are ropes formed from runes connecting them. There are also many thick rune ropes inside the little divine sun's inner core that are connected to the four walls of the cabin to transmit energy. If he wants to take away the small divine sun cores, he must first cut off those runed divine mountains. Qin Yun carefully observed and discovered that it is very difficult to easily cut them off. Moreover, after cutting them off, it will definitely cause a great commotion. It might even cause energy fluctuations and cause the small divine sun cores to become unstable. Not in a short period of time. Their technique is very brilliant. It is easy to destroy the small divine sun cores, but it will be difficult to take them away. I'll go attract the attention of those 10 warriors and buy time for you. Is that all right? Qin Yun also knows that the small divine sun cores have become very rare. If possible, he must try his best. All right, old brother Taisha replied. Qin Yun first used the divine mirror of primordial beginning and the godly king heavenly seal to seal the door to prevent anyone from barging in to provide reinforcements. Then, he let the divine mirror of primordial beginning float silently and shine on the rune chains. Divine of runes of Sect Dragon. The Qin the Yun of Spirit of the Divine of the Ling Dragon. Dragon of Qin Yun, let Ling Yuner come out of the 9 Sun Divine Soul. Ling of Ling Yuner has long been suffocated inside. This charming and beautiful person is now wearing a handsome black tight leather armor. Don't look at it as leather armor. It is made from the material of the Nether Sun Core. Her equipment has a very strong devouring power. When she receives a powerful energy attack, she can absorb and devour it. Ling Yun also has Nether Sun, and she used to be the Nether Sun Dao spirit. Ever since she obtained a body, she has comprehended a set of cultivation method of her own. Furthermore, she has cultivated together with Qin Yun many times, so her cultivation naturally advanced by leaps and bounds. In addition, inside the 9 Sun Divine Spirit, she often cultivated the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra together with Zi Qingsheng and Shui Tianzi. She also comprehended the Divine Sun cultivation method with Mo. She has very high attainments in the cultivation of the Nether Sun. Qin Yun is still very at ease with Ling Yuner. Even if she can't beat them and encounters danger, she can immediately come to Qin Yun's side and enter the 9 Sun Divine Spirit. With Ling Yuner's help, it is much easier for Qin Yun to hold back the 10 warriors inside. Qin Yun and Ling Yuner can't kill them. Not to mention the strength of the warriors arranged here, their equipment is also very good. The armor on their body has very strong defense and absorption power. Qin Yun used the 9 Sun Divine Hammer to smash the head of a warrior twice. However, the other party is completely fine. Moreover, when he hit, he can feel that his own power instantly dissipated after landing on the helmet. After all, these are the warriors of the Great Luo Empire. Their equipment is very advanced. Moreover, this batch of equipment was made before their cultivation had regressed. This time, Qin Yun can be considered to have experienced the foundation of the Great Luo Empire. It is more powerful than he imagined. For example, the warriors guarding here, their equipment is very terrifying. It is very difficult to break through with the power of the 9th level of the Divine Space Realm. Fortunately, the cultivation of these warriors is limited to the 9th level of the Divine Space Realm. If the upper limit of their divine space power is high enough, and they use these equipment well, they will burst out with very terrifying power. With Qin Yun's strength, it is impossible to resist. Yuner, be careful of their weapons. Qin Yun and Ling Yuner's mind are connected, so he can immediately transmit his thoughts to Ling Yuner. Xiao Yun, we must try our best to obtain their weapons. We must find a way to restrain this kind of equipment. Ling Yuner is also very serious at this moment. She has tried many kinds of attacks, but was unable to damage the other party's equipment. At this moment, the divine mirror of primordial beginning returned to Qin Yun's hand. Qin Yun, I'm almost done. Release the divine King Heavenly Seal, and you can destroy those rune chains. The divine mirror of primordial beginning said. Qin Yun immediately jumped into the air, took out the divine King Heavenly Seal, and pressed it on the back of the divine mirror of primordial beginning. Then, he used the mirror to quickly illuminate the rune chains. Bang, bang, bang. The rune chains suddenly self-destructed and broke. Yin-er, Qin Yin shouted. Ling Yin immediately drilled into the inner cores of the small divine sun and directly erased the spirit inside. The warriors are immediately alarmed. They originally thought that the two of them were spies who had sneaked in and wanted to destroy the inner cores of the small divine Sunday. In their opinion, the inner cores of the small divine sun in the cabin are difficult to destroy, so they don't need to worry at all. Even if a very intense battle breaks out here, it will not affect the inner cores of the small divine Sunday. But now, the inner cores of these 20 small divine sun have actually loosened. Ling Yun immediately returned to the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. Qin Yun activated the Nine Sun Divine Spirit and released his mental power to lock onto all the inner cores of the small divine Sunday. Then he quickly stored them inside the Nine Sun Divine Spirit. Xiao Yun, can you get their equipment? Ling Yun asked. She is still very concerned about the equipment. I'll do my best. How could Qin Yun not want to get his hands on it? He wants to see how it was made, what materials and runes were used. Chapter 32-24. The 20 small divine sun cores in the cabin are very important. Now that they have been taken away by Qin Yun, the entire super battleship did not fall down. The main thing is that there are still small divine sun cores in other parts of the super battleship. These super battleships have all been modified. After Qin Yun destroyed the super battleship of the Supreme Mystery Planet, it attracted the attention of these great powers. They all modified the super battleship in a very short period of time. The cabin ceiling is very good and the resistance is very strong. The 10 powerful warriors previously exploded with a large amount of divine universe power, but they did not cause any damage to the cabin. Qin Yun did not leave immediately because he wanted to obtain the equipment of these warriors and deal with them here. Although the cabin was large, it was still too small for someone at the 9th level of the divine space realm. This was because their movement speed was already very fast. It would be very difficult for Qin Yun to dodge the attacks of 10 powerful warriors in this cabin. At this moment, Qin Yun displayed his movement technique to the extreme to barely dodge. He has already put away the 9 Sun Divine Hammer. Although the power of the 9 Sun Divine Hammer is very great, it is not very good against 10 powerful warriors. Moreover, the armor of those warriors is too strong. Qin Yun previously wanted to use the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron to catch them, but he was afraid that these warriors would be too strong. After entering the cauldron, they would destroy the cauldron. He could only take out the God King Spear and try using the stronger 10,000 Devouring God Arrow. In this cabin, Qin Yun jumped back and forth. It is difficult to see with the naked eye. However, those warriors can still capture Qin Yun's movement trajectory. Finally, Qin Yun found an opportunity to shoot an arrow and hit a warrior. It has to be said that the 10,000 Devouring God Arrow is very strong. After all, it was forged with a large number of divine universe heavenly bones. Because the warrior received a strong impact, the power of his body instantly dispersed. He could not hold the saber in his hand tightly, and it fell to the ground. Qin Yun immediately rushed over and took the saber. What surprised him is that even the 10,000 Devouring God Arrow could not penetrate that warrior's armor. Isn't the armor of these guys too strong? It should be impossible to make it on a large scale. Otherwise, they would have already dealt with the star-swallowing ice python. Qin Yun remembered that the warriors patrolling outside did not have such good equipment. After all, they are warriors guarding the energy source, so their equipment is naturally the best. With their current cultivation, it should be difficult for them to forge any more. This level of equipment might even be out of print. Qin Yun thought about it carefully. The empires and the Taisher factions were the strongest humans in the universe. Back then, they possessed immense strength, so the powerful equipment they created was naturally not something a Ninth Firmament Divine Space Realm expert could imagine. With that in mind, a person of the Daluo Crown Prince's level would definitely have better equipment. Even if he encountered a clone, it would be difficult to take him down. Qin Yun originally wanted the other party's armor, but now it seems that getting a saber is already not bad. Fortunately, there are only 10 of them. If there were more, it would be a big problem. Qin Yun could only give up on the idea of taking the armor. Having the saber was enough. He would return to study the saber thoroughly and think of a way to restrain it. Just as he wanted to use the penetration divine art to leave the cabin, he realized that he couldn't. However, when he touched the barrier, he discovered that there was an even more powerful barrier outside. Furthermore, there was a thick blue wall outside the barrier. I am trapped here. Qin Yun is not flustered at all. At that moment, a voice came from outside. Qin Yun, you are in there, right? I knew you would come. The other 10 warriors in the cabin had already stopped attacking Qin Yun. They stood at 10 different positions in the cabin, maintaining a relatively far distance from Qin Yun. Are you Great Luo Crown Prince? Asked Qin Yun. That's right. My real body is not here. Great Luo Crown Prince's voice was very cold. He said in a disdainful tone, we did not attack the human snake treasure land because we wanted to take a gamble and see if you would sneak in. I never expected you to really come. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. He had fallen into someone else's trap. He knew that Great Luo Crown Prince was very sinister, but he never expected him to set up a trap for him here. I have no intention of taking your godly monarch heavenly seal. That thing does not belong to me. I only wish to obtain your bloodline heavenly pattern box, said Great Luo Crown Prince. Hand it over, and I will let you go. Those bloodline heavenly pattern boxes were extremely important, especially the dragon bloodline heavenly pattern box. Great Luo Crown Prince had nearly obtained it. However, he had been snatched away by Qin Yun along the way. Are you really surprised that you managed to trap me here? Sneered Qin Yun. Qin Yun, it looks like you are still unaware of the 9 Sun Divine Maiden situation. When the 9 God Sons appear, they will gather together and enter the 9 God Sun core. When that happens, it will be the perfect opportunity for me to capture them all in one fell swoop. Great Luo Crown Prince chuckled. Of course, when that happens, I won't be the only one. Many others will want them. Qin Yun could not help but clench his fists. Indeed, it was not just the Great Luo Crown Prince. Crown Prince Ling Tian and the others seemed to know of the 9 Sun Divine Maiden's uniqueness. Great Luo Crown Prince, you have spoken rudely to my wife many times. I will make you pay the price, said Qin Yun coldly. Is that so? You are now my prisoner. How are you going to make me pay the price? I look forward to it. Great Luo Crown Prince sneered. There were 10 warriors with extremely powerful equipment in the cabin. They were temporarily unable to take down Qin Yun, but Qin Yun was unable to do anything to them either. There was a barrier that had been set up outside. It would be very difficult for Qin Yun to charge out. Even if he did, there might be a large number of warriors with powerful equipment. Therefore, Great Luo Crown Prince believed that Qin Yun would definitely perish at his hands today, regardless of the situation. Qin Yun remained very calm. When he entered, he had already considered the worst-case scenario. He was prepared to deal with such a situation. In addition, his main goal in entering the super warship was to destroy the entire super warship. Obtaining the Little Divine Sun core was only secondary. What surprised Qin Yun was the 9 Sun Divine Maiden. How did Great Luo Crown Prince know of their actions? Could it be that the 9 Sun Divine Maiden's actions were not a secret to the Taisha factions and empires? Then how did they know? Qin Yun himself did not know that the 9 Sun Divine Maidens would be entering together after the 9 God Sons appeared. It was definitely very important, but they did not tell him. It meant that it was extremely dangerous. They did not wish for him to take the risk. Yun, let's join forces and use that move. Qin Yun immediately summoned Ling Yun. The moment Ling Yun appeared, she immediately released a black Nether Sunday. Qin Yun also released his Nether Sunday. After the 2 Nether Suns appeared, they suddenly fused together. Under their control, they immediately released an extremely powerful devouring force. At the same time, it distorted the surrounding space. Mobile users, that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.